Good morning. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. That's 104.5 The Zone. 615-737-1045 is how you get involved if you would like to, or if you just want to shout random Nashville Predators names at Jackson Williams. He'll be happy to field your phone calls, too. We've got every NFL coaching vacancy filled except for one. And there are 6 candidates for this last job on the board. We're going to get into that. Slay is going to be here because obviously the Vols have a big basketball game tonight, and we're going to talk some Senior Bowl quarterbacks as well. But all of these jobs are filled except New Orleans. New Orleans used to be a place that people wanted to work. New Orleans is compounded this year by the person that they were targeting, or at least it was reported that they were targeting, Aaron Glenn, saying that he wanted the Jets job the entire time at his introductory press conference in not so many words. I don't know which of these is the best vacancy that was filled. I don't know which one is the worst, but I mean, if you're the New Orleans Saints and you still have some interesting names out there that could potentially land, including the offensive coordinator for the Super Bowl-bound Philadelphia Eagles who interviewed with them last night, Kellen Moore, who they flew to Philadelphia to interview last night. It's pretty interesting. We always have coaching turnover each and every year. There's a significant amount. It seems like there's at least 5 or 6 jobs every year that turn over. I just don't know when New Orleans stopped being a place that people wanted to work, because I know they've been in cap hell basically since Breeze because of all the money that they moved around for so many years down there.
They are $52 million in the red.
Again.
For 2025.
And they just gave Alvin Kamara a new contract.
But all things considered, you could do worse than Kellen Moore, who just orchestrated an offense that put up 55 points, the most ever by a team in a conference championship game in NFL history.
Yep.
You could do worse than a Super Bowl champion in Mike McCarthy, who, according to Saints reporter Nick Underhill, is who they plan to interview next.
In fact, the Cowboys have done worse.
I suppose they have in terms of resume. And Jerry Jones had some interesting stuff to say about that. That seems to be a reason for the split between Cowboys and McCarthy. But end of the day, Saints fans will probably be feeling better about their head coach than they were about Dennis Allen, if it is Kellen Moore or Mike McCarthy.
Because he's just not Dennis Allen.
Right.
But that doesn't make them feel better about their team.
No, because there are things that cannot be changed. Mickey Loomis as the general manager is not going to be changed. The cap hell they're in is not going to be changed. Their non-existent quarterback situation where Spencer Rattler is currently their best option is not going to change. And the Saints currently hold the number 9 pick in the 2025 NFL draft.
So, with the Saints, hopefully, one would imagine, for their sake, closing in on a hire, given that these all-star games are going on right now. The Titans just hired away Dave Ziegler, the former Raiders general manager who was serving as a personnel advisor in New Orleans, who was helping with their coaching hire. He's since joined Tennessee, so that's not officially announced yet. From the team officially announced yet, either the Reggie McKenzie hire or Dave Ziegler at this point in time. Of all these jobs that have come open and besides New Orleans, since been filled, I don't want to steal from your headline segment later, because obviously a great deal of the headlines are going to involve hirings and firings, or I guess we're more in the hiring cycle than we are in the firing cycle at this point in time. Dallas is something. What is the biggest reason that Cowboys fans have to get excited for their football team next year? Micah Parsons doesn't have a deal yet.
Nope.
Dak Prescott is currently the highest paid player in the NFL with a contract that does not look very forgiving coming off injury. CeeDee Lamb is there, and you like a number 1 wide receiver. He's one of the, certainly top 10 players at his position, and that's something, I guess. But what else is there in Dallas right now to give fans hope that they're going to be better than a middling team? I don't think the Cowboys are going to suck next year, but are they 500?
Got the number 12 pick in the draft. They do seem to just be sitting in this kind of purgatory where they just are what they are and you know what you're going to get. Like what you got from the Dallas Cowboys this year was almost exactly what you thought you were going to get from the Dallas Cowboys this year, right? They made no adjustments. They didn't really have much room to make adjustments. What was the most notable offseason move they made last year? Bringing back Zeke just for the headline that created?
Notable, yeah.
Right. That was the most talked about one. Obviously, the contract they gave to Dak and CeeDee Lamb was a part of that, but congratulations to Brian Schottenheimer, who gets an NFL head coaching opportunity. But there's not a lot to be excited about right now. Every year, there's a reason why these jobs are open, right? It's because things aren't going great, typically. So it's not that often, I feel like, an NFL head coaching job comes open and you look at that and say, oh, wow, that's an amazing situation. Oh, anybody would want that. It happens, right? With the Chargers and Justin Herbert being your quarterback, it happens. There are attractive job openings, but more often than not, especially this year, most of the time they're unattractive. And so I think we overrate this idea of, that's not an attractive job. They're usually not attractive jobs. And guys want head coaching opportunities. Some are less unattractive than others, but what's the worst situation that a new head coach will be taking over in 2025 this year in the NFL?
So you've got Raiders, Cowboys, Jets, Patriots, Jags,
Saints,
Bears, Saints. Why isn't it New Orleans? It's New Orleans or it's Vegas, because Pete Carroll is, I think, a good hire, and John Spytek, people seem to regard him highly. I don't know if you caught any of Mark. I don't know why you would be watching Mark Davis's press conferences yesterday with Pete Carroll and Spytek being introduced to the Vegas media there. But he talked about how his vision for the organization kind of fell off when John Gruden got his head chopped off in Mark Davis's words.
Those are exact words.
Yeah.
That is not paraphrasing.
I had to read the quote a couple of times to make sure that it wasn't just somebody taking creative license with Mark Davis's words. Nope, he described John Gruden sending homophobic and misogynistic and anti-gay emails to the former Washington football franchise team president as getting his head chopped off by the league, and said that it really set them back as far as their vision for the football organization. And I think that's very honest. He was trusting John Gruden.
They gave him a 10-year contract
to do a lot of the legwork on the organization of the football side of things. And now he's got Brady, who he feels like is a stabilizing force, and Pete Carroll at 73, and Spytek in a first-time GM role. Vegas doesn't have a quarterback. The Jets, God, there's just so many messes among these 7 teams. I feel like it's New Orleans, though. New Orleans is in cap hell, and they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah. It might be. Now, it's hard to ignore the recent lack of success in Jacksonville. That seems like a situation that is almost impossible to succeed, just given the results of the last quarter century down there.
Also, how am I supposed to take Liam Cohen seriously? I know we got. Don't know. Do we have things to give away at 10:45 today, Jackson?
Yes, we do. Jason Aldean tickets.
Oh, okay. Jason Aldean tickets for the thing in sports that made you say, "Oh no!" at 10:45. Not yet. Oh,
yeah. We might as well get that out of the way. Just go ahead and play that audio.
It's just so cringy. Well, that's all it is. One more time, please.
Do you think, did someone have to inform Liam Cohen that this is going viral? Like, did someone have to pull him aside? Hey, Liam, you might want to check this out. Or does he just find out?
He's not 110
by
years
himself?
old. They all have the internet, Lucas.
Well, sure, but they're not like, is he on, I guess, is he on Twitter?
You think a buddy hasn't texted him? What the hell were you thinking?
You know how many of these coaches doom scroll? Are you kidding me? especially,
he does have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
He has not tweeted it since 2023. Oh, interesting. Looking at Liam Cohen's last tweet.
What's Liam Cohen's last tweet?
December 12th, 2023. He quote tweeted someone by the name of Cody Couch. The tweet reads, "Just a couple of cats helping their team get a W on Monday Night Football, #BBN. And it's a picture of this Cody Couch fella. Oh, no, it is actually a picture of Wan'Dale Robinson and Will Levis standing side by side, and it has Levis's stat line. This is definitely from the Miami game from the 2023 season when Levis went 23 of 38, 327 and a touchdown. And Liam Cohen quoted the tweet, said, "This is really cool. Love these guys.
Wait, why is Wan'Dale Robinson involved?
Where did Wan'Dale Robinson play college football?
Kentucky, but why is the picture of it's the picture of them on the sideline of the Miami
It's on
game?
the sideline in Lexington.
Okay.
So this person, I assume a Kentucky fan.
Did he mix up Wan'Dale Robinson? I'm confused.
I assume this user is a Kentucky fan
Okay.
that is tweeting about just a couple of cats helping their team get a W on Monday Night Football. And it is a picture of Levis and Wan'Dale Robinson side by side at Kroger Field. And Liam
Mighty
Cohen
Kroger Field.
saying, this is really cool. Love these guys.
How many jobs ago was that for Cohen? 6? 5?
The Kentucky job? Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, we will expand on the Liam Cohen announcement, the new Jaguars head coach, when we get to Oh No at 10:45 today. But coming up next, speaking of the Cats, Tennessee's got a big game tonight. Ron Slay will join us. Where is he in the world? Is he in Charlotte?
He is doing SEC Network studio work tonight in Charlotte.
Okay, so we'll look forward to Slay. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you. They've helped so many guys over the course of a decade plus here in Middle Tennessee dealing with ED, because a lot of guys have misconceptions about ED treatment. If the pills stop working, you may feel like you have no other options. You may seek options, and some of those things may involve irreversible surgery, for example, to treat ED. The sad reality is that if you go to a doctor to treat ED, those may be the only protocols they have available for you. Do not go through irreversible surgery before you have talked to the experts at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They specialize in men's sexual health issues. It's all they do. It makes them the experts in the field, and they have access to multiple protocols and options to treat ED based on your specific needs and what's going on in your body. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has treatments for everything from low testosterone, ED, treatments that increase size, stamina, and everything else in between. So schedule an appointment online today at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com for their Franklin or Midtown location, or call them 615-208-9090. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. It's Hot Chicken Week, Nashville Scene's Hot Chicken Week. You can check out all the great deals that Hattie B's has going on at any Middle Tennessee location. I don't know if Slay is in Middle Tennessee or if he's already in Charlotte, but either way, he joins us now to talk some college hoops. You got Kentucky at Tennessee tonight. Vol Network coverage begins here at 5:30 p.m. 3HL preempted just slightly for the Vol Network between these two SEC rivals. Slay, before we talk about these kitty cats, did you watch this Duke-NC State game? Is he muted?
Am I muted?
Yeah, there he is.
Now you're not.
Here I am.
Did you watch this game?
I did watch that game, dog. And the people complained about that Tennessee-Auburn game being physical. This game was just as physical, too. But outside of that, it was so physical, they made a man Earl. What was he doing?
Is that what it was? Was it the physicality? The kid just couldn't take it anymore?
I don't know. Maybe
projectile vomited on
an elbow to the gut at some point.
So much physicality.
Something just got jostled, and all of a sudden he's projectile vomiting on the court. It's like we had kids passing out in the stands. We had vomit on the court. We had Cooper Flag doing Cooper Flag things, 28-7-3. John Shire's calling him soft, apparently, in the post-game comments or in the pregame comments to kind of get him up for this game. Before we talk about the game at hand tonight, I wonder what you make of Flag specifically, what he's been able to do, because that Duke defense is nasty on the number 2 team in the country.
No question. Flag is the truth. Yeah. Like, it's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Like, the man can play all 3 levels, get the ball off the board and go initiate offense, and defensively he's not just an average guy out there. Like, he can affect the defense, whether it be protecting the rim or switching off and defending guys. Like, offensively, I don't know what you do with him, and I think what people get misunderstood, I came out and I've been saying it since the Houston game with Auburn playing them and saying Janai Broome is the National Player of the Year. I think the part that people get so confused and so distorted is you don't have to shame or tear another guy down or discredit what he's doing by saying somebody else is just as good or should get the award also. Like, it's amazing how silly it is, man, to have to go and defend that. But I will when asked to, and I think when you have the number 1 team in the country, unanimous number 1 team in the country, and the schedule that you played against a ranked SEC team, whereas 13 of the 16 teams ranked in the top 25. I think that speaks volumes, and there's no knock to what Duke is going against. They got to play who they got to play, but the ACC has 2 ranked teams.
Right.
And I think it's as simple as that. So they're doing what they're supposed to do. I don't think any of us can look at Auburn and say, man, they're doing what we thought they would do, because this is a tough league. So you got to tip your cap to him. But to your point, Cooper Flag, it's the number 1 pick. It ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Well, and to your point about the National Player of the Year conversation, Broome obviously missing time coming back against Tennessee at 16 points, 13 rebounds, the game-winning assist. It was a slog, but it was a fun game and came down to the final play. How much ground can Broome make up because of the strength of the conference, like you just mentioned, and the ACC being, I don't want to say fraudulent this year, but it's definitely shakier than in years past.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of ground can be made up just on the simple fact it's going to have to come from his teammates, though. Like, they're going to have to win because of the individual performance it'll be so far of a gap when you look at a guy averaging what he's averaging, but also throwing some 40-point games in there, a couple of 30-point games. Like, that's eye candy. And we all know the attention grabber for ESPN or any other network is the thing that's going to drive ratings, and he's fun to watch. You can watch Janai Broome, and that's cool, but it's almost extinct to watch a big man go to work. So that's why, him seeing him step out away from the post and be able to shoot threes and do things of that nature is pretty good, and it's enticing, but it's not the same. You got to go and win, go maybe lose 2 games, and that should hold enough weight for you to be in contention to go and get that, knowing that you only play 25 to 28 minutes a game. That's max. 33 was a long stretch for anybody on Auburn's team, but that's the way Bruce Pearl does his teams, and he wants those guys to be fresh going into March.
TVs, Ron Slay here with us on 104.5 The Zone. You can catch him on the SEC Network coverage tonight. You can hear him on 3HL 3 to 5:30 this afternoon, normally 3 to 6 weekdays as we get you ready for Vol Network coverage between the Vols and the Cats.
So Slay, three's obviously not falling for either team in that game on Saturday, and Tennessee gets outscored in the paint, not dominated in the paint, but Rick Barnes did say after the game, got to have more from those frontline guys. Only 11 points combined between Okpara, Milicic, and Cade Phillips off the bench. Tennessee, I saw this morning, their field goal percentage from 2-point range is bottom of the SEC. I mean, how much more do they need to get out of those 3 guys? Who are you looking to out of those 3 guys to just kind of give you some more consistency scoring around the rim?
I'm looking at all 3 of them because it's going to take a collective effort. Neither one of them, neither of the 3 are anybody that you throw the ball into and say, hey, man, go give me a bucket. So it's going to have to be a collective effort. It's going to have to be offensive rebounding. You understand who Cade Phillips is. Cade Phillips, when healthy, is a guy that's playing above the rim, getting tipped backs, giving second opportunities, giving you more possessions on offense. That's what he brings to the game. Felix Okpara, almost similar. But he is going to have to demand the ball some and be able to get a 4-foot hook shot off. Like at 7 foot, almost 6'11", almost 7 foot with that wingspan, with that leaping ability, you have to be able to score a 3-foot or 4-foot hook, and you have to be in command of attention from the other team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Milic, Igor, he's a guy that's going to have to step out. So combined effort from them guys, when he's stepping out, making the 3, being a threat, being able to play, make off the dribble, being a mismatch when they go small and he plays the 5, he's going to have to be that guy. And them collectively, I need 25 and like 15 from them consistently in order for them to take any step moving forward. That's all with consistent play from the guards. But from your bigs, if you can get 25 and 15 consistently, that takes so much pressure off. Chaz having to be on, Zakai not being able to play in foul trouble, Gainey coming off the bench having to be scorching when he comes in. It's too much responsibility on the guards.
Well, and to your point about Lanier, his usage rate, it's the highest of his career under Rick Barnes. His scoring is down from the first 2 months of the season. He was averaging 19.6 points per game through November and December. That's now down to 14.9. It was 45.9% from 3. Slay, he's now shooting 35.1%. Is that just a product of what you're talking about, the strain that's on him at this point, plus the usage?
Yeah, I think that, and I'm not going to say so much of the usage. I'm going to go more so, man, you walking into, this is the thing. You can't have it both ways. You can't say the league is as strong as it is and then expect a guy to come in and average 20. Anybody averaging 20, it's difficult to do in this league when you have other guys that are older in this league. This is a more experienced league that you're going up against, and the strength that's on the wings is totally different than anything he's seen ever. So it's an adjustment period for Chaz also. I do think his teammates have to be held responsible as far as getting him open. You got to think about it, man. This is not a guy, and I've been saying this since July. Maybe people will start listening. This is not a guy that you give the ball to and you face up and defend with your defender looking at you and say, hey, go get busy, go get a bucket. That's not him. It's never been him. Dalton Connect is that guy. Give him the ball, get him at the half court, tell everybody get out the way, and he's going to take him. If help come, he's still going to shoot it. Chaz is a guy that's great coming off down screens, a pin down where he curling right there around the elbow, somebody setting a flare screen, letting him read the defender, but that requires you to play physical. That requires you to be able to set screens to get him open. Now, to his credit, all he needs is a sliver of opening to be able to get his jumper off, and it's going to be a good possibility just going in. If you look back at that Auburn game, Jakai Howard got taken out of that game. Why? Because what did he do that they didn't do all night? He gave him an opening, and it, boom, got them right back in the game. It's small things like that, man, the details to get him open. That's the way he plays the game. It's more so not about 1-2 dribbles with him. It's more about him getting the ball off quick, getting a shot, getting a look, and that's where he thrives at, man. So to think when you started, because the comparison is going to be Dalton Connect and Chaz Lanier, to think that it's going to be the same is wrong, because the production will be there, but it's going to come in a different form.
Speaking of improving on the details, Mark Pope and Kentucky are going to be looking to do exactly that, coming off of a pretty surprising loss at Vanderbilt over the weekend. We'll talk about Mark Byington's team here in just a second, Slay, because I'm incredibly impressed with what he's been able to do in such a short period of time. But for Pope at Kentucky, it's been net positive, right? He's had some really quality wins. They have seemed to not miss a step. In fact, improve in a lot of the areas that Wildcats fans were looking to improve after they moved on from John Calipari. I just wonder what you make of the entire Mark Pope experience. I personally am very disappointed that it's working out, because I pointed and laughed at them when they hired Mark Pope.
They won the divorce.
Yeah.
It would appear.
It's not my favorite thing, but congratulations to Kentucky fans, I guess.
Buck, everybody pointed and laughed. Like, look at this. And listen, this is not a knock on him, but from what you had when you look at Rick Pitino, you look at John Calipari, all these guys coming in, the slick back, the nice suits, they coming in, real suave, got a silver tongue. They can't wait to get in the press conference. They win you over, the recruiting, all of this, the hoopla that came around it. And then you bring in Mark Pope. It's like, who is this? Look, who let this guy off the corner bus? Like, you know what I'm saying? And and he came in with his philosophy, and it worked. He went and got players that fit his system, that he understood, and they understood him, and they're veterans. So I think it's been all well. I think watching his system and knowing who he is when he was coming out of the Big 12, he was a person, and we'll talk about this in a second with Vandy, but he was a person that was going to win some games that he wasn't supposed to and lose some that he wasn't supposed to as well, because of the way they play. His thing, man, walking around is, once you get used to his system and acclimated to the way they play, the question is, will they guard me, you, or Lucas at our age right now? The question is no. And that is a problem moving forward with Kentucky if they're not hitting the way they're supposed to be hitting. So defensively, they got to figure it out. Now, that won't happen overnight. He's never figured it out. Even when he was at BYU, his thing is scoring, keeping the floor spaced.
Uh-oh.
He was mid-stride. What happened?
Oh, no.
What happened, Jackson?
No, the Wi-Fi always hate on me. It does this every segment.
How does the Wi-Fi in the Boom Boom Room have issues? I thought the Boom Boom Room is supposed to be a secure location.
This is a remote pop-up Boom Boom Room.
Okay. We got to take the Boom Boom Room on the road.
Yeah, it's like those medical tents they put on football sidelines. It just kind of collapsed in on them for a second.
Just put it up, put the little blue tent over the Boom Boom Room. But this has to change, man. When you're looking at Mark Pope, if it doesn't change, he's going to struggle. It's been him his whole time while he was at BYU having success. Now, what you got to understand is that they have to be patient with him, but I think it's enough patience in it because of knocking off who you knocked off. The Big Blue Nation will wait on him.
So Kentucky limping into this game, Slay, and I know both teams are coming off a loss, but Lamont Butler, the starting point guard, out for this game. Kirk Kriisa, the backup point guard, the Arizona transfer, out for this game. Andrew Carr, questionable for this game. The Kentucky big man who's had a great season. I mean, it feels like the pressure's going to be on for Tennessee to take care of business here at home. How does that change the way that they defend Kentucky, being without kind of those tempo setters and without Andrew Carr, who can be a catalyst around the rim?
Yeah, you defend them the exact same way. Tennessee comes out and plays their exact same game. I think what you take into account of is just going to be pieces that's moved around. The system is what gets guys open for Mark Pope. Now, going down the stretch is always question who will be that guy if you need to get somebody to go get a bucket. Butler's been that guy. So when things get stagnant, he's the one that can break guys down. Outside of him, Owe is the guy that can kind of do it, but not to the point where the experience of a guy like Kerr or Butler can get it going. So what happens with the system when the system gets stagnant, you're not making open shots and they're playing a physical brand, that's where it's going to be put on Mark Pope's shoulders to kind of counter and be able to do that. I think Tennessee should be fine. I think a lot of people look at it and say Zakai Ziegler should go off tonight because there's no guard. I think he'd go off, but it may not be in the stats. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. Like him being a disturbance of their sets when they're cutting without the ball, being away from the ball, being able to communicate with guys, knowing where they're going. Because it's going to be 5 guys around the perimeter. And I think it's almost just as big with Butler being out, with Carr being out. You saw it in the Vanderbilt game. That's their guy going down the stretch. He's the mismatch. Whether it's pick and pop, him popping out, the bigs cannot handle Carr. But with him being out, man, that brings a whole different game plan to what they're going to be trying to expect against Tennessee.
Speaking of Zakai Ziegler, 39 minutes against Auburn. That's become almost routine, Slay. I mean, 38 against Mississippi State. Does that concern you at all that Zakai Ziegler's having to play, 38, 39 minutes in these big conference games? Because we've kind of seen some of the drop-off just in tempo and rhythm offensively when Ziegler's not the one controlling the point.
Nah, they don't concern me at all, man. You got to think about it. This man just missed half of a quarter of the season, the end of the season with that ACL, man. So him getting back, he still got something in the tank. And there's also other guys out there that's kind of special. C.J. Watson was like that played at Tennessee. We called him Iron Lung because the man never got tired. It was amazing to watch. Playing and logging the minutes, the way he needs to play and the energy he brings, defending 94 feet. Some people just got it. I was one of those guys, you better get me out the game or I'm going to be like the guy at Duke, just earling over there on the baseline, trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm going to make my own timeout. So Zakai's a different breed, man. Like this guy, he knows he's the engine. Coach Barnes, I think, does a great job of calling timeouts to let him catch his breath as well. So notice that. And then it's also cool to get a lead. So if they get a lead, then you ain't got to worry about them playing them minutes. So everybody else, it's all predicated on a team playing as a team when it comes to Coach Barnes' teams.
Ron Slay, 3HL, SEC Network tonight. You got the Vols, you got Kentucky on the Vol Network right here on 104.5. The Zone coverage begins at 5:30. Both of these teams have something in common, Slay. They both lost to Vanderbilt. Mark Byington has these boys ranked, both men's and women's teams. Frankly, I know Tennessee suffering a loss to South Carolina last night, the Lady Vols, but both men's and women's basketball teams for Tennessee and Vanderbilt at this point in time have been thoroughly enjoyable to watch. I want to start with Vandy men's, though. What stands out about the way that Mark Byington has kind of brought in these transfer players and turned this program essentially on its head after the Jerry Stackhouse experience?
Man, walking in there and believing in his system, like not much to change. Just get a little higher caliber of player to come in and execute his system. You get a guy like Jason Edwards, who's a walking. If you had a little bucket, the old school McDonald's bucket that used to have legs on it, that's what he is. He's a walking bucket, and anytime can get his shot off against anybody. It does not matter. Jason Edwards can fill it up. And then you got guys like Tyler Nickel, who he's had an eye on since he was at North Carolina, at Virginia Tech, knows his family. So he brought a lot of guys over. I think, man, personally, Hogarth is a good addition. So what he brought with those guys is the mentality. My guys that I love is Mannion and Jalen Jalen Carey. Them two dudes right there, man, put me anywhere down there, downtown on Broadway, and go on and throw it up in the air, and I guarantee us three, we going to come out because them two battle, especially at home. They bring a physicality that was, in a sense, missing from Vanderbilt, that blue-collar work ethic that they always had. You always know them for shooting the three, but when they're good and they got teams, they got some guys out there that sacrifice. Them two guys right there, Mannion and Carey, man, they put them on my all-will do team. Not what they going to do, but what they will do for the team to win. Put them up every single time. Byington got some good ones with them, and they help lead the way.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see him just, bring a spark back to that program.
We're getting questions quickly in the F&M Bank chat, Slay. B. French asks, any word on Chunky Junkie? Is she still at large?
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, man. Chunky Junkie, man, is a inevitable force to be reckoned with. Has not been caught. It has, just like the Memorial Magic is back. the chunky junkie magic has been working. Her vanishing, going through portals and bouncing in and out of. I don't know if she's at the zoo. That's the fact. We don't know
She's in Belgium right now.
Yeah, we don't know where she is. We don't know if she at the zoo. Is she over there on Old Hickory? Is she panhandling? Maybe she's on a roof. Who knows, man? But chunky junkie is still on the loose, dog.
I told you stop leaving your car in Brentwood. Slay, I told you you're way better off in North Nashville than you are in these seedy Brentwood streets.
Dude, it was amazing. Just for a Gatorade, man. Me trying to be the number one dad and get my son a damn Gatorade. Look what happens, man.
Ron Slay here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Slay, what do I have to do to get Mike Woodson fired?
Hey,
and how much are people going to point and laugh at me and my university for not even bothering to pursue Dusty May as he has the Michigan Wolverines ranked, instead settling for Dusty Mike Woodson? It kills me. It keeps me up at night. It haunts me.
And Buck, the crazy thing, Dusty May, he can recruit. Like, look at the guys he went up there and got. I don't know, Buck. I don't know what you got to do, because the problem is they're teetering right there in the middle of the pack. So they may get a berth into the NCAA tournament, seeding in the Big Ten, and get into the tournament. I do think he's gone, though. I think he's gone at the end of the year. They will not fire him in the middle of the year.
Please,
if they fire a basketball coach in the middle of the year, I will be shocked. It doesn't happen.
So I get that, but like there are chants at Assembly Hall for fire Mike Woodson, like loud. There's nobody in that place anymore. It breaks my heart, and they're still chanting fire this man. I don't know.
Hey, Buck, the wildest thing, man, that man was about to walk off the court. His player had to turn him around and make him go shake the hand.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
That right there. Hey, man, that did it for me. I was like, I can't. It's no defense. It's no defense.
Don't laugh at me. All right, I'll deal with you later. Ron Slay, 3HL, SEC Network. Vols got Kentucky tonight. I root for the Vols anytime they play Kentucky, because that's the one thing that Tennessee fans and I have in common, is that everybody hates Kentucky.
Hey, can I share something real quick that is on Mike Woodson's Wikipedia page?
You may.
Under the personal life section. It says, Woodson and his wife, Terry, have two daughters, Alexis and Mariah, both play college volleyball. And then the second sentence, Woodson avoids email and text messages, preferring a live voice to a keyboard. That is your college basketball coach in 2025.
The haunting of Slay's laughter and Jackson just shooting me the middle finger is something that is just...
This is better than Irsay. This is better than anything Jim Irsay can do.
It's the worst.
Who puts that in his Wikipedia page?
It's probably true. He's a dinosaur. Anyway, Ron Slay, thank you for your time, buddy. It's always good to have you.
I appreciate it, man.
Get him out of here. Get my basketball coach out of here.
Okay. It's cool when Nick Saban does it.
No, it's not.
Not when Mike Woodson.
Not in 2025. Saban's out for a reason, too. He didn't want to do this stuff anymore. I want somebody who cares. God. Do I have things to give away?
Yes, if you would also like to see Buck Rising cry for another segment, you can tune in next segment and call in for what made you say, oh no, in sports this week. This week we have 2 tickets to see Jason Aldean at Bridgestone Arena on August 7th, plus a $100 a moment's peace gift card. You might need that.
I've never needed it more than I do during college basketball season. 615-737-1045. Give yourself an opportunity to win those Jason Aldean tickets by telling us what in sports made you say, oh no. So maybe you've got some goals financially that you're trying to plan for. Like me, I'm saving up to buy Mike Woodson's contract out for Indiana basketball. So you know who I'm going to call to make sure that my wealth management house is in order? I'm going to call Trajan Wealth, Trajan Wealth. Trajan Wealth is not just any financial firm. They're your partners in securing your financial future. They're more than just a fiduciary firm. They're a family-owned, veteran-led team that puts your needs first. Let their decades of experience specializing in retirement planning and wealth management work for you. Trajan Wealth offers free consultations to help you develop your plan and your peace of mind. So call them today at 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000, or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Oh, yeah is right. What in sports made you say, oh, no, this weekend? 615-737-1045 for the opportunity to win 2 tickets to Jason Aldean's upcoming show at Bridgestone Arena and a $100 gift card to A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa in Franklin, who make this segment possible each and every week. Visit them online at amomentspeace.com. May I present to the forum the new Jaguars coach, Liam Cohen. Not just because of the cringy way that he says Duval, but because of he seems like a cartoon character. He doesn't seem like a real person. Certainly winning the press conference doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything at all to what you're going to be, good, bad, or indifferent as a head coach. But starting with this line that Warren Sharp described on Twitter as sounding like a Larry David character written for Curb.
And that's really what this is going to come down to is honesty. I want to surround ourselves with people that are going to be able to tell you hard truths, be able to show you your blind spots, because that's really, like I mentioned, where growth occurs, when you can truly be yourself and be honest with looking in the mirror, knowing that process to get you there was clean and it was right, and the results will speak for themselves.
Everybody needs a little integrity.
Okay, I didn't look like, what was it? I didn't really bat an eye at that one. Like, well, what was so bad about him talking about surrounding yourself? Like, that just felt like kind of coach speak to me.
He looks like a Muppet.
Okay, is it over the way he looks? I mean, because I'm with you.
It's both things.
The Duval, the cringy Duval.
Jackson, what county do the Jacksonville Jaguars play in?
Duval.
It's the way that he cranes his neck.
Right, yeah. Again, it is a visual bit also.
He has a Jason Segel quality to him. Like if Jason Segel was an NFL head coach, like some of the movements, some of the cringiness, except he's not actively trying to be funny.
So, speaking of cringy things going around from NFL coaches and executives,
Might
Jerry
not be
Jones.
the only thing going around based on this level of commentary.
Jerry Jones just hired his new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer. And Jerry Jones meets a lot with the media. And this is audio courtesy of Fox 4 in Dallas. He was asked about the reaction of Cowboy fans and how that makes him feel.
Now, I get my proverbial ass kicked over needing people in my comfort zone. Without this thing being about me in any way.
That's the wrong audio.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. Very low percentage.
A very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. That is the quote from Jerry Jones. Now, how did Jerry Jones make his money?
Oil.
So I've learned that glory hole is also a term in the oil biz.
Oh, did you do some research on this?
Very precariously.
He Googled the term into the work computer.
I would advise folks not to Google the phrase glory hole. I would also advise folks not to Google the three words glory hole oil together. But
there's probably a lot of Diddy references these days.
I did in my endeavors find out that is a term used in the oil biz for the spot in the ground where you find oil.
That makes sense.
Right. It is a very common phrase, apparently, in the petroleum industry.
I'm going to need an Urban Dictionary reading.
So the fact...
Are you trying to get me fired?
I sincerely hope that Jerry didn't know that. I don't know if he knows.
About it being an oil term?
I don't know. Well, no. I believe that is how he uses the term, but has anybody told Jerry what kind of the common thinking of what the phrase glory hole means is?
Please tell me that you don't think that Jerry Jones, who is on Jamie Foxx's Instagram Live talking about a Cowboys player's manhood size,
I don't know,
doesn't know what a glory hole is. Please make that argument to me.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he did.
And this is not the first time Jerry Jones has used that phrase. This has happened before.
I'm sure.
Not all smiles and glory holes, kids. I'm just reminded by how horrified I am that, children actually listen to this radio show from time to time, and we're talking about smiles and glory holes. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to get involved. What in sports made you say, oh, no? Let's start with Ashley.
Hey, guys. So the second half of the North Carolina State Duke men's college basketball game on Monday night had lots of drama. The Blue Devils erased their 4-point halftime deficit, but they also had their center throw up all over the court in the middle of the action, while a student appeared to also pass out in the stands shortly thereafter. Both incidents forced a pause in the game, creating two very odd scenes. The game was delayed for a few minutes, as more than a handful of poor Duke staff members were tasked with getting the young man's vomit off of the hardwood. Duke's head coach explained during the post-game presser that it was cramping that led to his big man throwing up all over the floor and that he felt better after the game. Fortunately, after the game, the young lady that passed out was doing okay as well, and she was able to walk out of the arena on her own.
It was a crazy scene. Thank you for the submission, Ashley, and remember to stay on hold for the opportunity to win those tickets. Very thorough, very to the point.
Very well researched.
I appreciate Ashley's diligence there. That's as professional a submission as we've ever had for this segment. Now the next person I go to is going to fart into a microphone and try and win the tickets. Let's go to Joel up next. Joel.
Yes, sir.
Am I listening to myself on the radio?
No, you're listening to Ashley on the radio.
Yeah. So the dumbest thing, Buck, is not the dumbest thing. The thing that made me say, "Oh no," was in the NFC Championship game where the defensive player for Washington kept diving over the line, and the ref said, "If you do it again, we're just gonna give him the touchdown." You can't change the rules of the game, man.
It's a really good submission, Joel. Thank you for the call. Frankie Louvu just kept trying to jump the snap. They couldn't get it any closer to the goal line, the football, for Philadelphia to try and tush push. I was legitimately standing up in my living room, screaming at the Eagles, just snap the football. Just snap it.
What was the phrasing from the official that if this behavior continues?
It sounded like a parent.
We're going to turn this car around. I promise.
Straight up, like we're just going to give him a touchdown. No, get out of here with that. Snap the football. The longest second down in the history of the NFL, I think, is what Kevin Burkhardt described it. A great submission by Joel. Strong candidates today for the $100 gift card to A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa and 2 tickets to Jason Aldean's upcoming show. Charlie is next.
Yeah, I called in, Buck, a couple of weeks ago about this one, but anyway, I think it's apropos. Brian Kelly's wife asked him at the kitchen table, she said, did I hear you say you want to leave Notre Dame and go to LSU and play Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama? Oh, no.
Thank you for the submission, Charlie. We appreciate it. Yeah, that doesn't necessarily lend itself to sanity. Kyle will be our last submission. What do you got, Kyle?
What's going on, boys? I actually tagged y'all on Twitter and mine. It was from the Mazda MX-5 Cup race at Daytona. Green flag lap, very first lap. They're pulling. They get like 100 yards past the start-finish line. Somebody's car up front either broke or something. Well, next thing you know, out of a 35-car field, we have a 18-car pileup in the middle of the track.
Oh, my God, I'm watching the video that you tagged us in right now. This is insane. Have you seen, are you on Twitter right now?
Yeah, I saw what he's talking about.
Oh, my
That's
God.
Crazy.
What a mess. Thank you for the call, Kyle. 3 really strong submissions, and Charlie. Who are we giving the tickets to?
Let's go with Kyle.
Kyle?
Yeah, with the NASCAR thing.
I'm in favor of Ashley. Jackson tiebreaker.
I'm going to go Kyle.
Coward. Did you watch this Duke game? It was insane what happened on the court last night.
It was Kyle.
Okay, very good. Sorry, Ashley.
No further comment.
I tried. All right, congratulations to Kyle. It is a pretty crazy scene in the Mazda MX-5 Cup. You can find that on Twitter. All drivers involved have been cleared by Track Medical, a testament to the work of Mazda Racing and Performance FLIS to make safe race cars. It's crazy is what that's the phrasing of the tweet online. I don't know why there's nobody. It's just like a test lap that they're running because there's nobody in the stands of this racetrack on Twitter. Either way, congratulations to Kyle for winning the tickets. Coming up next, we are going to get into Shedeur Sanders, an interesting quote from Brian Callahan talking about the Colorado quarterback at this weekend's Shrine Bowl. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
11:02, good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans finalized multiple coaching staff changes on Monday, making the hire of new special teams coordinator John Fossil official and bringing in former Houston and Tennessee Oiler Renee Stewart as his assistant. The team also promoted Luke Stalker as tight ends coach and brought in Tony Oden to coach cornerbacks. Former special teams coordinator Colt Anderson, his assistant Anthony Levine, cornerbacks coach Chris Harris, and former tight ends coach Justin Alton will not be retained by the Titans. Only one head coach opening remains in the NFL with the New Orleans Saints. They completed an in-person interview with Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore yesterday. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So you know you're in the quarterback market if you're a Tennessee Titans fan, and you know that there are two names at the top of every list or around the top of every list when it comes to quarterback discussion. Senior Bowl's going on. We're going to take a look at the Senior Bowl quarterbacks. Neither of these two individuals are involved with the Senior Bowl at this point in time. We'll do that later at the end of the hour, but I want to talk about what a couple of different things that Brian Callahan had to say about Shedeur Sanders at the Shrine Bowl over the course of last weekend and now into this week. I believe the Shrine Bowl game is Thursday night. Shedeur not playing in the Shrine Bowl.
He has left as well.
Yeah. He went for interviews. He met with a significant amount of teams. He did media, and then he got out. And that was about the extent of it. But Brian Callahan had the opportunity to speak to him in a formal setting and a less formal setting where they just happen to run into each other around the North Texas University campus is where the Shrine Bowl practice facility is. Either way, Callahan talked to Jimmy Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com about both quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, but Sanders was the one that he got the opportunity to meet with. Borgonzi was, of course, there. Chad Brinker also there. Titans had a significant amount of people in attendance at the Shrine Bowl, and fair to expect would be the same case as practices begin today in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. A couple of interesting quotes from Brian Callahan's interview with Jimmy Wyatt, talking about specifically the interactions with Shedeur. Now, Shedeur Sanders has been in the spotlight his entire life. He is the son of Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is one of the most famous people at any level of football. And so Shedeur and Shiloh, growing up with Deion as their father. Deion has is there a Deion Jr. too?
Yep.
Okay.
Deion Jr., I believe, is the oldest.
As well. All of these people have some level of comfort with media scrutiny and just general scrutiny. Shedeur Sanders apparently spent about 15 minutes with Brian Callahan during a throwing session on Friday morning. Team was allotted 15 more minutes for a scheduled interview later in the day, but the two just happened to run into each other, and apparently both enjoyed their exchange, according to Jim Wyatt. Jimmy has Callahan quoted as saying, you can tell that he's been brought up the right way, referencing, of course, Deion and the Sanders family, and that he's been around money, that he's been paid real money, which gives him a level of, comfort around financial perspective that oftentimes, or at least in recent history, has really just been for the NFL. But now we know that name, image, and likeness is a thing, and Shedeur Sanders was the highest valued NIL player in college athletics last year at $4.7 million. This is according to On3's NIL valuations, which is a system that helps them determine the projected annual value of college and high school athletes by combining roster value and NIL value, which apparently is a proprietary algorithm specifically for On3. Now, that would make him, that $4.7 million, the valuation last year would make him the second highest paid athlete in this coming cycle. Do you want to tell me who you think is the first?
Highest paid athlete in college football?
Valued. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know the
whether they're
exact.
receiving that money, but the highest NIL valuation. Now, this includes all sports. So you've got people like Livy Dunn in here. You've got people like Carson Beck, Cooper Flagg.
Does Caitlin Clark count? Because she was playing for Iowa in 2024. Who is it? What is it?
It's Arch Manning. This is 2025. This is as of this morning.
Gotcha.
Basically, of athletes who are still current athletes. Arch Manning has the highest NIL valuation of $6.6 million. Shedeur, whether or not he made $4.7 million as a collegiate athlete, that's not known, though there has been speculation like Nico Iamaleava's deal on what he was making at Colorado. Either way, he's made real money. He's used to it. He's been around it. He's grown up with it. This is not something that's going to the lifestyle element of becoming an NFL player that can be pretty jarring for rookies depending on where some of these guys come from. This is not something that you're going to have to deal with Shedeur Sanders. It's a part of the decision, a factor in how the Titans are going to make the decision around the quarterback, because they have to have somebody who's not just got the physical traits required to play the position, but also has the mental makeup required to play the position.
This is one of the quotes from Callahan to Jim Wyatt about Shedeur Sanders. The thing that stands out the most is his toughness. He took some pretty big shots and he kept rolling. He can stand in the pocket and deliver it. He can move and create a bit. He has some ability to move out of the pocket, and he does create on his own. He's not a high-end dynamic scrambler necessarily, but he is productive when he does, and he really has a good feel for anticipation and timing. You can tell he's been coached in that regard. Those things show up on tape.
That is, and in addition to the quote that he gave, that Brian Callahan gave Jimmy, quote, "You can tell he's been raised right. He's mature. He has a really poised way about him. He seems like a really good kid. I enjoyed talking to him. And you could tell he's a guy who's been in the spotlight. He knows how to handle himself." So all of these things factor in, because I see some comments from people like Dustin on YouTube. Sure, Buck, Sanders' financial portfolio is really going to help him on the field. Hell yes. Absolutely. Do you understand what kind of draw there is to making that kind of money right out of the gate when you've been a college kid, especially a college kid pre-NIL? These things matter. I know it's not Will Levis's, the clip from the Manning Passing Academy thing where he's asking Peyton Manning about how soon do you or how long do you wait essentially into your professional career to potentially seek out endorsement opportunities. And Peyton Manning, very well versed in the art of selling people things, but Peyton was also a hugely accomplished player before he delved into the world of Papa John's and Buick and, I mean, what else? Liberty Mutual. What else is Manning doing right now? He's doing everything.
Oh, yeah.
At this point
What
in
is
time.
the Peyton Manning commercial for? Is that
it Progressive?
Yeah, I think so.
Either way. Levis, there's a clip from the sit-down that a bunch of these quarterbacks had with Eli and Peyton, and he's asking Peyton about marketing opportunities. And Peyton's saying, make the football the main thing. Then there's it's juxtaposed against Levis's nationally televised mayonnaise commercial this year before he's ever accomplished anything as an actual football player, but it runs the entire football season, even well after this player has been benched. These things, the maturity, the self-awareness, these are factors that can help a quarterback be successful. They don't guarantee that a player will be successful, and it doesn't necessarily matter what position. But all these different things conspired against Will Levis, and he kind of, put himself in a lot of these positions to where Shedeur Sanders, this is old hat. He's made that kind of money. He's not worried about necessarily his first-round rookie deal. He's not trying to buy mom a house or do all these things or have family members who are going to reach out to him for his resources at this point in time. He comes from it. These things do matter.
Yeah, and you're going to see that more and more with these high-profile prospects that are already making money. Like you mentioned it, Carson Beck, $3 to $4 million. He's making more money than he's going to be making in his rookie year in the NFL when that comes. So it's going to be more and more commonplace that these guys are well-versed in this area. But I think Shedeur Sanders, that probably runs counter to what maybe the layman thinks of Shedeur Sanders. Oh, the circus, the spotlight, not going to be focused on football. I think it's quite the opposite. I think the dude knows exactly how to handle the spotlight. I mean, he went to the Shrine Bowl. He didn't participate in any football whatsoever to do interviews, to kind of start to shape the narrative around him in this draft process. Clearly, he has advice to do so. I'm sure Dion is one of the people in his ear. And He sounded good in every media availability he did. He sounds like a mature guy who's going to be able to handle the interview processes. Now, do you care that he did not participate in any of the practices?
Not even a little bit. Not even remotely. I mean, the tape is out there. Like, you can go watch what this person looks like in college football games. Again, it may not be the greatest of competition. He's not playing SEC defenses on a weekly basis, but he's not going to see that in the Shrine Bowl either.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think we really overblow, what, especially at the quarterback position, what we learn about these guys in those type of settings.
Truly, Anthony Richardson is the most athletic quarterback in the history of the combine. How is it translated to the NFL? These things don't matter they don't carry the degree of weight that I think a lot of people assign to them just because they're happening at any given point. You throw up your hands in the air and you say, why isn't he participating in the practice? Because he doesn't have to. Again, it's not going to, his maturity, his ability to handle the spotlight, winning a press conference or understanding how to handle media is not going to help him in terms of diagnosing NFL defenses, getting the ball out faster, taking less sacks, all of these things. But when you talk about the face of the franchise, the well-rounded person that it's going to take, these are factors that have to be taken into consideration and will be taken into consideration because it's not just about the player. It's about the person that the player is, and can they handle all of the things that will come their way if, for example, they're the number 1 overall draft pick with a reasonable level of expectation to that effect. Coming up next, you got headlines?
I sure do.
I'm Buck Risings, 104.5 The Zone.
It's time for headlines with Lucas Panzica.
I think that open gets longer every week.
Yeah, I think so too.
I let it play out a little bit more.
I like to think Jackson will like cut it and then copy about 10 seconds of it and then paste it onto the front end and then just slowly but surely.
We're gonna get to the point where it's half 4 minutes long. Is the damn open.
So, a lot of talk about the Dallas Cowboys, whether it's about coaching hires or Jerry Jones talking about glory holes in the petroleum industry, of course.
As one always does.
Brian Schottenheimer is the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. That hire was made official. And it seems like a little bit of light has been shed on exactly why the Cowboys did not bring back Mike McCarthy, because Jerry Jones said the other day that he wanted Brian Schottenheimer to call plays. Mike McCarthy famously has called plays as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So was that why Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys parted ways? Jerry Jones said, we want to bring you back, but we want to give play calling to Brian Schottenheimer.
Could be. I mean, there's probably an accumulation of things, right? How long were Jerry and Mike McCarthy together?
Was it 5 years?
Yeah, it's enough. You know, like it's longer than the average NFL coach at this point in time. So maybe your relationship starts to fray, and at a certain point, you cease to become like at many relationships. You cease to become interested after a period of time in what the other person brings to the table, or maybe one person's lost the edge, or you think one person's lost the edge, and you move on, and that's fine. I mean, it may be fine. I don't know that the Cowboys are better for having Brian Schottenheimer instead of Mike McCarthy. Did you see what Richard Sherman did to Brian Schottenheimer on Twitter yesterday?
I did not.
I will pull up the full tweet so I can read directly from it, because it is a point-by-point critique of his Wikipedia resume, and it is absolutely brutal. Brutal.
Okay. Brian Schottenheimer has been an offensive coordinator at 4 different NFL organizations. He was the passing game coordinator of the Jaguars in the dreadful year that Urban was the head coach. He was the offensive coordinator at Georgia in 2015 under Mark Richt. So he's been around. But this was Jerry Jones the other day at the press conference. He's been very defensive lately. Jerry Jones in dealing with the media. And this is Jerry defending the hire of Brian Schottenheimer and kind of this allegation that it was the safe move to go in-house.
Now, I get my proverbial ass kicked over needing people in my comfort zone. Without this thing being about me in any way, if you don't think I can't operate out of my comfort zone, you're so wrong. It's unbelievable. This is as big a risk as you could take. As big a risk as you could take. No head coaching experience. Now, let me share something with you. With all of that, you've just heard him reference his osmosis, his family. Anybody in this room that doesn't believe the apple doesn't go far from the tree has missed it someplace down the road. Especially if there was an effort to make it that way, and there was an effort. But then you go around to the countless numbers of coaches that Shotty has served on staff with and been around, the countless players. How often do you have someone that has 25, I'm going to say 25, it may be 26, of years of working through the human relationship and working, aspiring to learn, of have his ears and eyes wide open and looking for techniques and looking for things that make coaches better?
Jerry, man.
Like you said, he is sitting right next to Brian Schottenheimer.
He's pointing at him and saying, this is the biggest risk that I could take.
No head coaching experience. Not one. Not one iota. I just imagine as he's talking, that his finger just moves closer and closer to Brian Schottenheimer's face. And the next thing you know, his full hand is like smothering Schottenheimer's face. None. No coaching experience. None. Never been a head coach once in his life. This man right here grabs him by the hair. Not one time has he been a head coach. This person right here.
It doesn't help that Brian Schottenheimer looks like a human thumb.
Okay, now you're just taking pot shots.
No, I mean, it's
perfectly nice man.
No, I'm sure he's a wonderful man. Do you have his Wikipedia resume up?
Yes, I do.
Can you start with his stint with the Washington Commanders? Because I said Richard Sherman. I meant Roger Sherman of The Ringer.
Okay.
Offered some critiques here, and we can go point by point. So start with the first bullet point in Washington in 2001.
Yeah, so this was after he moved up from the college ranks, where he was a position coach at Syracuse and then USC, and then he took over as the QB coach in Washington in 2001.
Which Roger Sherman points out had the 28th ranked offense. Next.
Okay, don't think he was calling plays, but all right. He was the QB coach in San Diego from 2002 to 2005.
Roger Sherman adds the only years of Drew Brees' career where he didn't look like a Hall of Fame level quarterback.
Okay. He was the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets from 06 to 11.
Wasted some of the NFL's best defenses with Mark Sanchez.
They went to an AFC championship, did they not?
Yeah, but they didn't make it past.
During that time?
Was it Peyton Manning they lost to twice? They definitely lost to Peyton once.
Okay, so that does leave out that he coordinated an offense that reached an AFC championship with a rookie quarterback, but okay.
Next.
Offensive coordinator for the St. Louis Rams from 2012 to 2014.
25th, 21st in offense.
Okay. The OC at Georgia in 2015.
85th in offense, got Mark Richt fired.
Okay.
We only have 3 more. Keep going.
Does Roger Sherman despise Brian Schottenheimer? What is going on here?
Continue on.
QB coach in Indy in 16 and 17.
30th in offense in 2017.
Who is their quarterback? This is pre-Andrew Luck retirement.
16 and 17.
Luck retired in 2019.
It's not Painter, is it? No, that wouldn't have been pre-Luck.
No, and it wasn't post-Luck.
Either way.
OC in Seattle from 18 to 2020.
Simply says, didn't let Russ cook.
Passing game coordinator in Jacksonville.
32nd in offense with Trevor Lawrence, widespread dysfunction, and Urban Meyer.
And then he's been the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys the last 2 years. Okay, I don't know what Sherman has against Brian Schottenheimer.
It doesn't matter.
It feels a little ridiculous to just leave out the fact that he helped the rookie quarterback get to an AFC championship. So you could probably find the worst things about every stop that he's been at. And I get Cowboy
Duck
fans are upset right
on
now.
YouTube points out it was the brisket because Luck was hurt.
It was hurt.
Jake Brisket, Jacoby Brissett.
Okay, so he didn't light it up with Jacoby Brissett.
Because that 17 year, didn't they play a Monday night football game here in Nashville with Mariota, who basically should have been in a full body cast, or was that 18?
18 was the Sunday night football game with Blaine Gabbert. Regular season finale.
At the season end.
But
there was a Jake Brisket, because Luck played in that game because Jayon Brown picked him off like twice.
That's right.
I think in 17, the Colts with Jake Brisket played a Monday night football game here, and the Titans ended up winning. Mariota played really, really well from the pocket. Could not move at all. I can't remember what injury he was coming off of.
Look, I'm not saying Brian Schottenheimer is not an underwhelming hire for Cowboy fans. He clearly is. Did I say Marty Schottenheimer?
You sure did.
Brian Schottenheimer. Obviously, Marty was his father. Marty was a very good head coach. But I don't know. That feels like that's leaving a lot of context out. All of those criticisms Sherman has with all of those. But he is bringing in Matt Eberflus to be his defensive coordinator. The fired head coach of the Bears, former defensive coordinator of the Colts.
He's a good DC.
Will be Brian Schottenheimer's defensive play caller.
Yeah, that's a good hire for a middling head coach at this point in time. And listen, the Cowboys, again, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be bad, but I don't think the Cowboys are going to be good. Like, they're never going to be what Jerry wants them to be.
Yeah,
and I think it's specifically Jerry Jones's fault at 82 years old, where he keeps making decisions like he just lets the Ben Johnson stuff slip through the cracks. He makes a bunch of noise about Deion Sanders and interest there. Then he hires Brian Schottenheimer.
The New York Jets made the hire of Aaron Glenn official, former defensive coordinator of the Lions. This is Aaron Glenn shooting down.
Oh, it's so good.
Any questions that he's going to get about Aaron Rodgers?
We did not pull that this morning.
Oh, I thought we did.
It's definitely in the Twitter group, which is readily at your disposal.
We can get to that at some point. The San Francisco 49ers.
The way that both of us looked at Jackson expecting audio that he didn't have.
Speaking of the New York Jets, the 49ers have hired Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinator. He was back in San Fran.
Yeah, that was a good marriage while they were there. Now, they were a better roster when Robert Saleh was last there. They need to replenish that defensive line depth in particular. Jackson, let me know when you have the Aaron Glenn noise or audio, because it's
Will Aaron Rodgers
really
be your quarterback?
You're going to continue to ask me the same question and get the same answer. We're still in evaluation mode. So for anybody else going to ask that, I'm going to give you the same answer. So don't waste your time. Are we clear?
Well, let's answer that. What do you look for in a quarterback? Like, what's an Aaron Glenn quarterback?
A winner. A winner. Mental and physical toughness. When you talk about that, you're not going to get me.
Well, let me ask you this. Parcells, I know you guys are close. He always
That's
said...
Parcells.
Okay.
I'm Aaron Glenn.
Okay, so you don't...
That's Parcells.
I love that. I love the way he's ready for New York media. I mean, this dude, he remembers it from when he was a player.
Yeah.
He is ready to handle New York media.
It honestly sounds like he's got a little more toughness than they do anymore. That sounded like a pretty tepid New York media corps. They're not used to people going back at them.
He has brought up Bill Parcells multiple times, saying that he called Bill Parcells saying, I want to coach, and Parcells said, no, you want to scout. He said, no, I want to coach. He said, no, you want to scout. And he said that's the best advice he ever got because the best head coaches are the best evaluators. But yeah, shooting down those questions about Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, it was a little unnecessary. Like, you enjoy it, and then if he starts out 2-6 or whatever, it's going to get less cute when he's being that level of combative with the New York media. Now, I get why he's doing it, and I get what he's trying to establish. Don't ask me questions about other people. Ask me questions about me. Essentially, he's saying, don't compare me to Bill Parcells. Let's not even. Which
I think is totally fair.
I think it's totally fair. But again, that tone is going to. It's not going to matter if they don't win games, and it's going to be an uphill battle for him to win games this year.
Spoken like a true media vulture. Look,
hell yeah, I went through that with Vrabel at the end. He was miserable at the end, and people are asking him questions. Mike, do you even want to be here?
I appreciate Aaron Glenn just kind of shutting down the Rodgers stuff. Listen. I'm not going to answer the question, is Aaron Rodgers going to be my quarterback? Because he doesn't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be his quarterback.
I'm talking about the Parcells stuff. Like the Rodgers thing is completely fair to him for him to be combative of because
he's going to get a million different versions of that question.
Will spin that a million different ways. Rodgers has a Netflix documentary. Aaron Glenn benefits nothing by uttering even the name Aaron Rodgers right now because Rodgers is so volatile.
Ann on the F&M Bank chat says she disagrees with you. You set the tone for how you'll be handled from then on out by the media.
To some extent. And then if you don't win, then that doesn't matter anymore.
New York media is going to come for you no matter what.
It's just how it is.
So the Jacksonville Jaguars, as we all know, have their head coach in Liam Cohen. We've heard him multiple times at this point. Owner Shad Khan says they will have a new general manager by the end of February. So Shrine Bowl this week, Senior Bowl this week.
What happens at the end of February?
Combine.
The Combine.
So he has set the deadline for the end of February. The Combine is the final week of February.
I mean, come on.
So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, they tried to retain Trent Baalke, and it was made very clear to them that nobody wanted to work under Trent Baalke, and they fired Trent Baalke.
It wasn't made clear enough to them because they let him run the coaching search.
Until they didn't, and they hired Liam Cohen, who was going to back out of the job if he had to work under Trent Baalke. It's been just a crazy scenario. Look, Liam Cohen's a good football coach. Liam Cohen got the absolute best out of Will Levis. Will Levis's best year of his career at Kentucky was under Cohen. Baker Mayfield's best year of his career. Baker arrived in Tampa with Dave Canales and had the best year of his career. Canales got the head coaching gig in Carolina. Liam Cohen comes in. Baker one-ups the best year of his career and reboots all of his career highs across every statistic.
Baker Mayfield, kingmaker.
In 2024. So Liam Cohen has that feather in his cap. He's a good coach, and he's got an extremely talented quarterback in Trevor Lawrence to work with. But since 2012, Mike Mularkey, 2-14. Gus Bradley, 14-48. Doug Marrone.
God, was it that bad under Gus Bradley? 14-48?
Doug Marrone, 23-43.
And that was an AFC championship appearance in there, too.
Urban Meyer, 2-11. Doug Peterson, 22-29.
Doug was the best of the bunch.
So, one thing has not changed in Jacksonville, and that is Shad Khan. Can Liam Cohen overcome those things? Can the Liam Cohen-Trevor Lawrence duo be good enough to overcome whatever it is that has held back Jacksonville for the last quarter century?
See, I don't know how to answer that because, I mean, do the Jags strike you as a team that doesn't invest? Because I don't think that's what they are. They spend in free agency. They hire coaches, but he seems a bit like just behind the eight ball, Shad Khan, on some of this stuff from the Trent Baalke thing. Like everybody in the world knows that nobody wants to work with Trent Baalke except the guy who's employing him currently and then tasking him with his head coaching search. At the end of February to hire a GM. So and listen, it's not like people who are interviewing for GMs will not have gone through the Senior Bowl process, will not have gone through Shrine Bowl, all the different things in the combine lead up. Like anybody who's going to get one of these jobs will have had some level of participation in the lead up, but not specific to the Jags. Now you're going to have a pitch for Jacksonville on, hey, here's what I'm going to do at quarterback, or here's what I'm going to do to help your quarterback. Here's how I'm going to address the offensive line needs. Here's what we're going to do to get better on defense. All these different things, but I don't know. And it's like the Jags, Liam Cohen may turn out to be okay. You know, I mean, he's clearly somebody who's capable of maximizing the quarterback position. But what did we just see here? They hired somebody who was clearly capable of maximizing the quarterback position, and then the quarterback didn't take to it, and it was a disaster. So just because you have one skill set does not necessarily equip you to be an NFL head coach, and that's a learning on the job process, as Brian Callahan has articulated, I think, pretty well. I think the comparison to, nobody tells you all the different things that are involved in raising children, for example, until you have to go through them yourself. That's basically what the NFL coaching process is like, too.
Now, the Jags have the number 5 overall pick. They also have the most picks in the 2025 NFL draft. They have 10. So they've got room to operate, to kind of fill out this roster with players on rookie contracts. And it's
never been a lack of draft capital
I'm saying,
with Jacksonville.
and it's not a roster totally devoid of talent either. So if nobody knew the context around the Jags organization and all the dysfunction that has just permeated through that place really since the late 90s when they were competing with the Titans for AFC championships, then you would look at this job and say, oh, no, okay, I see. You've got a young crop of talent. Brian Thomas Jr., a finalist for Rookie of the Year. He's not going to win it, we know, but he had a great rookie season. Trevor Lawrence, something can be done there. We've seen the glimpses. We know how talented he is. You've got all these draft picks. You've got an offensive mastermind, you suppose, if you're a Jags fan, as your head coach. Okay, this should be turned around pretty quickly. But nothing about the Jags organization in the last 25 years has indicated something that's able to be turned around very quickly.
I just, not to kick the Titans again while they're down, but like the idea that you got swept by that Jags team last year is just not acceptable.
Were the Titans bad last year?
They were bad last year.
Okay, you just haven't made it clear.
I just
don't remind us that often.
I feel like that is a particular point that needs to be reminded, that team swept you last year is gross.
Yeah. Titans were bad last year.
Senior Bowl quarterbacks.
Wait, they were bad last year, Lucas?
They were very bad last year.
He never talks about it.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever brought up how bad they were.
I wish they would give me something else to talk about other than how bad they are.
There's so much to talk about, please.
Senior Bowl quarterbacks. We'll talk about them next.
Let's move forward.
All right, we just spent 5 minutes debating the Louisville quarterback's last name. Lucas is convinced that it's Shuck, like
Shuck.
an oyster, but it's spelled Shough.
Yeah, he had a pretty nice season.
Tyler Shuck.
For Jeff Brom,
I
the
don't
Cardinals.
feel like I should, if I had to take pronunciation advice from anybody, I think you might be the last person I would be willing to do that.
Oh, really? You don't think the person that speaks 3 languages would be the one to help you out on that?
The one who thought chamber was the way you said chamber until 3 weeks ago.
I don't know what you're mixing and matching. Your bilingualness
that's
or
fair.
trilingualness does not impress me.
There is crossover sometimes.
You can mispronounce words in 3 different languages.
Congratulations to you. You're illiterate in 3 different languages.
If you
Look
want-
at him try. That's a fine. That's absolutely
I'll
a
take that fine. I'll take that
him
fine.
being super pretentious about, I speak 3 different languages.
I also won my 8th grade spelling bee, something you did not accomplish. So
I didn't have a spelling bee. I would have won it. I am convinced.
The history is on my side here. Try as you might.
Literally, there is audio evidence to the opposite.
If you want journalistic proof, the Courier-Journal in Louisville wrote an article about how to pronounce his name.
An article was written.
Yes, and he is a transfer from Texas Tech. The quote is, I don't think anybody's ever got it right the first time. That is something that he said on a local radio show in Louisville. But he says, although it looks like cough or even show, the correct pronunciation is shuck, like aw shucks or to shuck corn.
Now, why do you care about the Louisville quarterback's name? Well, he is one of the quarterbacks who is in attendance at the Senior Bowl. Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are not. So while those are the 2 most interesting names at the quarterback position, there are several who famously have been some of the best performers in college football this year, including Jalen Milroe, the Alabama quarterback. You got Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. Will Howard is not at the Senior Bowl. He is not participating due to the national championship run that Ohio State went on. So you understand that. But he was one of the first invitees. And then he recently said, it's okay at this point. We played a lot of football. Let's take a break. Dylan Gabriel from Oregon, Riley Leonard at Notre Dame, and Tyler.
Say it. You can do it.
Shuck.
Good job.
I don't like that.
Did you see Dylan Gabriel's helmet for this week?
I have not.
Yeah.
It's so the one half has Oklahoma, the other half has Oregon, and then the back has UCF.
Yes.
That's excessive.
It's starting to be
Are we going to start doing that everywhere?
I cannot wait until Bear Alexander's. He's the guy who's transferred like 6 times.
It's going to look like a mosaic on his head.
Jim Nagy, please invite Bear Alexander to the Senior Bowl just for the helmet. Yeah, I remember.
How many more transfer opportunities does he have before he's even draft eligible?
Wanye Morris was the first that I saw do this, where he had Oklahoma and Tennessee on his Senior Bowl helmet. So, yeah, this is becoming more and more commonplace with where we are at in the world of college football.
Well, the quarterback evaluation this year is going to be interesting. And again, Senior Bowl, Brian Callahan actually just gave a media availability at Senior Bowl regarding the scouting of players and what's, why he's excited about this particular process. We'll get to that here in just a second. But with everything that's going on right now, you understand that the Titans have needs plural at quarterback. They need a veteran and a starter. Whether that player ends up being one in the same remains to be seen. But they can add a veteran and draft a quarterback. They don't have to draft a quarterback in the first round. There's going to be a variety of them in this draft class that are going to be intriguing at the very least. So let's start with Milroe, if you want. Jalen Milroe, 4 years at Alabama, the last 2 years as their full-time starter. He has he dipped. He dipped from his sophomore year to his junior year, his redshirt sophomore year to his redshirt junior year, decided to declare for the draft instead of transferring out of Alabama. Finishes his final year at Alabama, completing 64.3% of his passes for 2,844 yards, 16 touchdowns, but 11 interceptions. He was not efficient as a passer this year. He had some moments where you could clearly see the athleticism on display. Obviously, his passing statistics are not... his rushing statistics are also impressive when you add an additional 168 carries, 726 yards. Did have, how many rushing touchdowns did he
20.
have this year? 20?
Yeah.
I thought I was misreading that.
No, his passing stats took a step back in almost every category. I mean, his completion percentage went down from 65.8% in 2023 to 64.3%.
Rushing numbers went through the roof.
Through the roof this year. And he leaned on his legs a lot more in 2024 than he did in 2023. He went from 23 touchdowns to 6 interceptions in 23 to 16 touchdowns, 11 picks, like you just said. So big drop off in both categories. But yeah, he almost doubled 12 rushing touchdowns in 23 to 20 this past year.
Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback, former USC transfer. Is he going to have a dual logo helmet as well? It's been a long time since Jackson Dart was at USC. So
I don't know if he played enough at USC. I'm not sure. I mean, Dylan Gabriel started several games, started entire seasons for all three of those programs.
Senior season at Ole Miss for Jackson Dart. Obviously, Ole Miss is a football team underwhelmed. They were thought to be at least in the college football playoff conversation. They obviously did not make the 12-team playoff. In 13 games, though, he completed 69.3% of his passes, 4,279 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He was averaging 10.8 yards per attempt. He was very impressive in Lane Kiffin's offense. He is at least, the two of them are at least in the conversation with Will Howard, it sounds like, for potential QB3. Now, how much further in the draft is further down in the draft is QB3 this year than perhaps last year remains to be seen. We don't expect Will Howard, Jalen Milroe, is Milroe the best Bo Nix case this year? Where some team is going to look at him and be like, oh, I can work with him. He's got high-level athletic traits.
I'd be wary about comparing those two.
Not as players, but I'm saying like the example of nobody had Bo Nix going 12 to the Broncos.
True. Yeah, I'll give you that. And he is
not as players. No, not even remotely.
He is kind of, Anthony Richardson light in terms of his mobility up the draft boards will be because of his sheer ridiculous athleticism. I mean, it's absurd. He is such a difference maker with his legs, and that's going to be appealing to some teams. Like Anthony Richardson was appealing to a lot of teams. Now, I know Richardson has a lot of tools that Jalen Milroe doesn't necessarily have, and we always thought Richardson would be a first-round pick, but I feel like he has the most ability to move up the boards because there is a sample size of him playing good football for Alabama in 2023, and even in games in 2024. You throw on the Georgia tape, and you will be impressed, even as super heroic as Ryan Williams was in that game. But no, the athleticism, the experience in big moments at a big program, I think is going to help him move up and down. With Dart, I'm curious at how that offense affects him. Who's the best Lane Kiffin quarterback to go to the NFL?
Oh, Corral.
I mean, best Lane Kiffin quarterback in terms of what he did in the NFL.
Oh, I don't.
Corral got hurt, and then I think he might be in the USFL now or the UFL, whatever it is.
He definitely didn't last.
Right. I mean, Matt Barkley played for Lane Kiffin at USC and, had a nice career as a backup quarterback. Is he still around?
No, I think he's out most recently this year. Titans legend.
That's right. So
you remember the days of debating Logan Woodside v. Matt Barkley.
Yeah, Barkley played for Kiffin and then went on to have a long career mostly as a backup in the NFL. Otherwise,
somebody's saying Swag Kelly. Swag Kelly wasn't Lane Kiffin, was he?
No.
That was pre-Kiffin.
Yeah. No, that was Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
That was Hugh Freeze.
And that did not go well in the NFL.
The Kiffin offense is not too dissimilar from the Tennessee offense. So I'll be curious to see how much that's used against Jackson Dart throughout the process.
That's a knock, right? That's a knock, or it certainly was on the Tennessee players. The 4 of them that came out in the 2023 draft. It didn't affect Darnell Wright, obviously.
Top 10 pick. Yeah.
Playing right tackle, but it did affect the 2 receivers, Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt, and Hendon Hooker, who also was dealing with an injury at the time. Will Howard played 5 college football seasons. He's most recently won the national championship. He went on an absolute tear through the college football playoff, but his senior season statistics, his first year in the Big Ten, 73% of his passes completed, 4,010 yards, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I don't think I saw anybody more dialed in at the quarterback position for an extended period of time this year than I did Will Howard after the Oregon regular season loss. He was excellent, truly excellent. And I wonder, physically, he's not going to be regarded as, I mean, he's got decent size. He's 6'4", 235, or at least that's what he's listed on Ohio State's website. I'd be curious to see what the conversation is around him. It's not, the making of throws to every part of the field is not something that Will Howard possesses. Dillon Gabriel, 6 years in college football. 2019 was his first college football season. He finally comes out of Oregon senior season, redshirt senior season, COVID senior season, with a completion percentage of 72.9, 3,857 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in his final year at Oregon. I think he's going to be a UDFA. I'd be curious to see how much the experience helps him in the conversation, but I don't see him as a drafted player.
Really? Just because he's 5'10"?
Yeah. I mean, he's 5'10" without the things that make him special. Like 5'10" is pretty diminutive. Isn't Bryce Young 5'10"?
Bryce Young is 5'10".
Yeah. It's size, it's physical limitations, it's traits limitations. I just don't think he's a draftable player.
Played a lot of football. And that's
that
the other
matters.
thing. There's a ton of tape on these guys.
Yeah.
On almost all of these guys. The top two alone, Sanders and Ward, a ton of tape at 2 different spots. And then when you get down to the QB3 discussion, Will Howard played at 2 different schools. Jackson Dart played at 2 different schools. Dillon Gabriel played at 3 different schools. Jalen Milroe, multi-year starter at Alabama. There is not a 13-game sample size for almost any of these guys to look at.
So really the conversation, at least for the Titans' perspective, it would seem to me is Milroe, Dart, or Will Howard, which we can have at a later date. We'll talk to, I don't know if we've asked Ramon Foster for a time yet, but he's down in Mobile, so we'll see if Ramon has a time to check in with us tomorrow. Coming up next, though, the Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl. I don't know how many people are happy about it. Just like during the Patriots dynasty, not a lot of people happy to see Tom Brady back in the Super Bowl. What are the primary differences between these two as dynasties? We'll talk about that and a Titans offseason checklist coming up next.
It is 12:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans finalized multiple coaching staff changes Monday, making the hire of new special teams coordinator John Fossil official and bringing in former Houston and Tennessee Oiler Renee Stewart as his assistant. The team also promoted Luke Stocker as the tight ends coach and brought in Tony Oden to coach cornerbacks. Former special teams coordinator Colt Anderson, his assistant Anthony Levine, cornerbacks coach Chris Harris, and former tight ends coach Justin Alton will not be retained. Only one head coach opening remains in the NFL. It's with the New Orleans Saints. They completed an in-person interview with Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore yesterday. And Tennessee basketball returns home tonight, hosting Kentucky in a top 15 matchup. Both teams looking to bounce back from a loss over the weekend. Vol Network coverage starts at 5:30, tip-off at 6 right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour is upon us. Thanks for stopping by, hanging out. Thanks for sticking around. You've got a Super Bowl between the Eagles and the Chiefs. You knew that based off the championship games. What's going on with the music back there? What's happening? You
Finger slipped.
You slip? Okay, very good. What are you eating back there that causes your fingers to slip so often? Or are you just lying?
Nothing. I actually had a little bit of hand sanitizer on my hands.
Oh, quite the opposite, he says.
I don't believe you.
No, he's got the proof. Yep, just show us the bottle.
I can't see. There's too much glare.
Lies!
Either way, you have a Super Bowl. The Chiefs are back in it. They'll have a game against the Eagles for the second time in 3 seasons. And I get that there's probably a little bit of fatigue of the idea of the Chiefs, first and foremost. But I still think there's going to be a ton of interest in this game because these two fan bases are crazy and they're nationwide fan bases. This is not exclusive to the Philadelphia and Kansas City, Missouri areas. I think that both teams, they don't necessarily have a level of polarization, though, that makes you root very much against one or the other. What's the most polarizing thing about the Chiefs? Taylor Swift?
I mean, plenty of people don't love the Eagles. And Eagle fans.
Well, but the Eagles, I don't think so. This is a very likable Eagles team.
I agree with you.
Jalen Hurts is not anybody who's going. I don't think many people anywhere have poor opinions of Jalen Hurts. I think Saquon Barkley is very highly regarded. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think A.J. Brown. Maybe you think A.J. Brown was lying about reading a book on the sideline the whole year, and maybe you thought he was just doing it for that one time. But I don't know.
It is fatigue, right? Jay in the F&M Bank chat says, so tired of the Chiefs, so tired of Taylor Swift. Because it's year 3 of us. I guess year 2 of the Swift, right? The Taylor Swift thing. We're in year 2 of that. Yeah. But people are tired of watching the Chiefs win and the camera shots of Taylor and then rinse and repeat. Taylor on the field celebrating an AFC championship. Taylor on the field after the Super Bowl. It's just fatigue. That's what it is. This isn't, they're cheaters. They don't deserve to be there. People are going to watch it because history will be being made if the Chiefs win.
And if not, the Eagles will have pulled a historic upset of a dynasty.
And it's Andy Reid against the Eagles, part 2, his former team. So even if they watch begrudgingly, people will watch.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it is fatigue more than hate.
Somebody says they're looking forward to when Travis and Taylor move to Nashville. That seems like a collision course. Absolutely. Kevin on YouTube points out that he can't stand Sirianni. Sirianni is the most polarizing part of the Eagles that's not their fan base, for sure. I will accept that.
It's a good fit.
But the dynasty element of the Chiefs, right? So it's 5 Super Bowl appearances in 6 seasons. It is 3 Super Bowl wins in those 5 appearances, and now potentially 3 in a row for the first time in NFL history. The Eagles, I think, are the better team, but like dynastic comparisons, people hated the Patriots.
Yep.
So Belichick, not a beloved figure, still not a beloved figure, no matter what his media persona might indicate. Tom Brady, I don't know. Tampa Tom was likable. Nobody liked Tom Brady with the Patriots, both regarded as cheaters during their time. So they carry a different kind of stigma than the Kansas City Chiefs who, I don't think that what misstep, what is the most polarizing thing about Patrick Mahomes?
His brother.
I was going to say his voice.
His family.
His family. It's the dad. It's actually it's the dad, the mom, and the brother.
Yeah.
And the wife. The wife very polarized.
Again,
Just collective.
It is fatigue over hate. People are tired of seeing Andy Reid in the Fumble Rooski commercial, right? Like fatigue over hate. The Patriots were so hateable.
I rather enjoy that man who clearly exists off cheeseburgers and a pint of mint chocolate chip ice cream as he breaks down, ways to diagnose your defense. Yeah. I very much enjoy him saying Fumble Rooski do.
And the Patriots also established that over almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
Over multiple generations of the sport.
And the Chiefs are I think the Chiefs also experience a little bit of this because of the level of social media involved with the Chiefs, because of Taylor Swift, because Jackson Mahomes is a star on TikTok and then, has the issues at Kansas City bars and stuff like that he does that makes him polarizing. They're just very everywhere all the time. The Patriots were too, but not quite to this extent, not in the TikTok, Instagram, height of Twitter age, where everywhere you look, it's Kansas City Chiefs or Taylor Swift. And the two are, they're not the same thing entirely, but they have, there's a Venn diagram crossover, obviously. This is going to be fascinating. This is going to be fascinating for me for a couple of reasons. Because I want to see the Chiefs make history. I want to see the Chiefs win it. I think that'd be cool to see something nobody's ever done in the NFL. Like, I don't have fatigue about that. And we had the conversation yesterday about you saying, I think most average fans are just over it. And they don't really care about witnessing greatness, or they'll take the greatness for granted and then talk about it after the fact. This is a question that I meant to ask Slay and I forgot because we got caught up talking basketball. But like Jordan, the three of us, Jackson, were you alive when Michael Jordan was winning championships?
No, I was alive when he was with the Wizards.
Okay. Yeah.
That's his Michael Jordan.
But did they win a championship?
No, they did not.
They were horrible.
Okay, so our generation, there's a certain generation that thinks Michael Jordan is the greatest winner of all time. For our generation, it's who? Tiger Woods or Tom Brady?
Yeah, one of the two.
One of the two. LeBron, maybe, I think third.
Like Joe?
Yeah, shut up. Third in that conversation.
Dalton Connect.
No.
These are all semantics.
No, he's
got a dub last night. Dalton Connect had 2 points.
I tell you, those are 2 important points.
The Grizzlies got shelled by the Knicks. I had no idea the Knicks were good this year. Anyway, so like Jordan was not universally beloved the way that he is now when he was winning championships for the Bulls, right?
Of course not.
He was a polarizing figure. So how long does it take for us as fans to be removed from the dominance of any one figure before we start to actually appreciate? Like, is it going to be 15 years or 10 years removed from Patrick Mahomes for us to look back and say, man, that was really, really cool. I wish I didn't take that for granted while he was out there winning everything.
Here's the thing. You say take that for granted. When someone takes something for granted, it means, it's exactly that, right? You take it for granted. You just assume it will be there. And then when it's gone, you miss it. And you say, oh, man, I really didn't appreciate that while that was here. NFL fans don't feel that way about Patrick Mahomes, right? I don't think that's the way to put it. Like, a fan of the Titans or the Colts, or certainly not the Chargers or a team in the Chiefs division, is going to 20 years from now being like, oh, man, I really took Pat Mahomes for granted. I
miss seeing him twice a year.
I miss Patrick Mahomes. I wish he was still around, right? Like, did we take Tom Brady for granted? Are Jets fans saying, you know who I really took for granted? Tom Brady. Missed that guy. No, they're happy the Patriots are terrible.
Is that exclusive to football? Because basketball, it feels like we do that. Like, it's more individualized. It's less of a, it's still a team game, but it's less of a team game, right? It takes more than just Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady.
Yeah, most NFL fans don't miss seeing Tom Brady win in the playoffs every year.
I do.
You're not an NFL football fan. Most NFL fans of NFL teams are very happy and were rejoicing the moment. Okay, Nick Saban. What happened the day Nick Saban retired? I smoked a cigar. I'm sure many people smoked a cigar.
I did as well. It was awesome.
Glorious moment. I not once in my lifetime will ever sit there and say, you know who I took for granted? Nick Saban. Oh, what I would give.
Oh.
What I would give to see Nick Saban standing opposite my team on a football field again.
What I wouldn't give for another Nick Saban, Butch Jones masterclass.
So I think that is unique to football, though. Like, I think that's a very unique to football type of thing. Even though basketball fans are probably, like whether it's LeBron or, I guess LeBron's played for so many damn teams this time. There's many fan bases that resent him in some form or fashion. And I don't know, if Celtics fans were glad to see Larry Bird go, or if
you said that backwards.
Yeah, I said that backwards.
I don't think Celtics fans were looking forward to Larry Bird
Lakers
leaving.
fans were sad to see Larry Bird go, or Celtics fans sad to see Magic Johnson go. My brain wanted to say Patriots or Pacers, damn it, because Larry coached the Pacers for a period of time.
How'd that go?
Not well. But it is interesting to kind of look at the two of them because they are different. Brady wasn't this present around the Super Bowl this often, though, which is the crazy part.
Oh, he won the 3, right?
And then he went 10 years before he won the next 4.
3 of his first 4 years as a starting quarterback, he won 3 Super Bowls. And then he won in 2004, didn't win one again, like you said, 10 years until 2014. And then rattled off another 2 after that with the Patriots, and then the 1 with Tampa. So there was a long break there. And Patrick Mahomes, it's just been so concentrated in such a small amount of time, and people are just being force-fed the Chiefs for the last 6 years.
And it's also that nobody can get past him, right? It's been Brady once and Burrow once, and that's it. Like, Brady would occasionally lose to Peyton Manning. Brady would occasionally lose to Ben Roethlisberger or Joe Flacco. It was mostly Brady in the Super Bowl or competing in the AFC Championship, but every once in a while, like Rivers or Breeze was obviously in the NFC, but like one of these other quarterbacks would get one over Tom Brady or win one between Tom Brady's last championship and his next championship. The Mahomes thing has just been, it's been since he's taken over the starting job. It's just been straight, you're freebasing Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs constantly. It's inescapable. So I think it's an overwhelming amount of them for an extended period of time in a way that even Brady and the Patriots didn't do, because to your point, that was spread out over 20 years. This is just distilled Chiefs Mahomes for 6 straight seasons at this point. And he's probably going to do it for 10 more.
But taking something for granted means you miss it when it's gone, and that's not going to be the case for anybody other than Chiefs fans.
I wish it wasn't like that, though. Like, I get what you're saying, but I wish it wasn't like that. Like that you can't just take a step back and appreciate that, even though you're happy to see.
Yeah, you can. Of course you can. I can take a step back and appreciate that Nick Saban's the greatest coach of all time. I think Nick Saban's phenomenal on television.
Beat you into submission.
But come on, man! Like you are around football fans every day, and it still amazes me just how you don't understand how they operate. I just don't understand.
I don't get that specific part of it. I think that's dumb.
Wanting your team to win.
Aren't you the person who loves hate? Don't you love hate?
I know. When did you get so kumbaya on us? I just wish everyone would hold hands and just appreciate Pat Mahomes and be happy that he's beating their teams into submission every year and shoving the Bills and stiff-arming the Ravens on their way to the Super Bowl. I wish people would just appreciate that more. I don't get it. I don't get why they don't.
Is he crying?
Who?
You.
Oh, no.
Lucas, is there a tear?
Just don't.
I see a tear.
I'm just not seeing your logic here, bud.
Yeah, no, I just enjoy watching Patrick Mahomes. That's it. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Coming up next, speaking of trying to break up dynasties, what can the Titans do to at least get back to meaningfully competitive? What must be accomplished on their offseason checklist? What are the priorities? 615-737-1045 is how you can weigh in. We'll tell you what ours are coming up next.
It is a very, very special week here in Music City. It's Hot Chicken Week, which means Hattie B's should be in your immediate future. Any one of their 7 locations, the factory at Franklin, Lower Broadway, Melrose, Midtown, Nashville West, even the Nashville Airport. I'll be flying out of BNA on Friday. You bet I'm going to stop by Hattie B's on the way. A family-run restaurant serving up your favorite Southern food and authentic Nashville hot chicken. Hand-breaded. Their fried chicken is cooked to order. Add your spice level, hot or not. You don't have to go all the way to shut the cluck up. You can go as low as Southern, medium, mild, hot, whatever works for you. Pick your favorite side, and you know they are the best in town. Scratch-made Southern greens, pimento mac and cheese, the bacon cheese grits. If the sides are as important to you as they are to me, then Hattie B's, you know, does not miss. You want to skip the line? Download the Hattie B's app. You get a free dessert just by doing so, whether it's the banana pudding, the peach cobbler, plenty of options for you there as well. And bring the heat to your event, whether it's a party, wedding, or corporate function. Let Hattie be your guest of honor. Hattie B's has something for everyone. Download the app and visit HattieB.com today.
Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. It is Hot Chicken Week, Nashville Scene's Hot Chicken Week. You can check out all the great deals that Hattie B's has going on at HattieB.com. I think I might do some hot chicken for lunch.
Sounds lovely.
We are going to go through the Titans offseason checklist, or what our Titans offseason checklist is, here in just a second. First, we'll take your phone call, 615-737-1045. We're just talking about the Chiefs' comparison to the Patriots and the two, dynastic implications of what one accomplished and what one now stands to accomplish before we move on to the Titans and a critical offseason for them trying to get up off the mat. Let's go to Dustin first.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Buck, we might have to tell Colin Cowherd that he's not going to have to come and attack you for trying to take his boyfriend from him since you love Patrick Mahomes so much. But I just wanted to say, with the Patrick Mahomes thing, I don't know if it's fatigue. I think it's more like you said, that it's all happening like so close together. I could definitely see that. I never thought about it that way. But as a Titans fan, I will definitely not be sick of him beating us and everybody else. But I do think I would rather see him win and make history, just purely on the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles fans are like some of the most vile human beings I've ever been around in my life. So that'll be my rooting interest in the game. Hopefully everyone will enjoy it.
Thanks for the call. I honestly, I'm sure we'll talk more about the game that week. I'd probably pick the Eagles if you asked me today. I know you don't make money betting against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but
I'm not with you on that.
We can get into that more next week. Philly fans are definitely a reason to root against Philadelphia. Eagles team, though, I think is an interesting thing. Think about this. All right, do you know how
Hold on. Not 3 weeks ago, you were pining for Titans fans to take after Eagles fans.
Yeah.
You said, please, be more like the Eagles fan base.
I enjoy it.
And I understand what you were saying.
I would like for you to harass Jaguars fans while they're leaving the stadium and take a hat off one of their heads. Did you see that video?
Maybe not a week after that videos were coming out of an Eagles fan saying horrible, heinous things to a woman.
That's pretty bad.
At Lincoln Financial Field. Maybe a few days after you demanded Titans fans be more like Eagles fans.
So middle ground. Let's say Bills Mafia. Give me something closer to that.
What would Titans fans jump through?
There's probably a joke to be made about the pedestrian bridge, but I don't want to do that without Bon Jovi around to potentially save some lives. Do you know how many teams have been on the precipice of 3 straight Super Bowls?
Oh. How many times has it happened?
How many times?
Yeah, a team arrive at a 3rd straight Super Bowl. Just one?
8.
8 different times?
8 different times. I've got the 1968 Packers, the 1974 Dolphins, 2 different Steelers teams in 76 and 80, the 1990 San Francisco team, the 94 Cowboys, 99 Broncos, and the 2005 Patriots have all been on the precipice of 3 straight Super Bowl wins, but did not accomplish the feat.
As in going into a season looking for a 3rd straight Super Bowl.
No, as in they are in the game, but they didn't win it.
Okay.
Those are the 8 teams that have done it. Now, across sports, it's been done almost as infrequently in every major sport. 14 times has a team won 3 consecutive championships.
I don't think that's right, by the way. The 2005 Patriots, they lost in the divisional round.
Maybe it's the 2004 Patriots?
No, they won the Super Bowl. Patriots won back-to-back Super Bowls and then lost in the divisional round. So I think what you're saying is,
going into a season. Okay, yes.
With the goal of the first ever 3-peat.
My mistake.
Yeah, not arriving at the game.
Right. So 8 different times it's happened, and the team hasn't been able to finish it. With any sport, and they're not comparable, right? Basketball, baseball, the Lakers, the Yankees, these are teams that have won consecutive championships, 3 consecutive championships that way. The Bulls, obviously, in that mix as well. It would be really cool to see Patrick Mahomes do something in our lifetimes that's never been done. he obviously hasn't won 7 Super Bowls yet, which is Brady. Brady is the greatest winner of all time. But would that at least make the conversation more interesting between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady as far as the greatest to ever do it because of how condensed the time frame for Patrick Mahomes has been?
The conversation cannot truly be had until Patrick Mahomes reaches the age of 40. Because that's just a part of the discussion that we don't have yet. It's an incomplete discussion. Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl at the age he did with the Buccaneers put him in a different stratosphere that Patrick Mahomes, it's impossible for him to reach that. He's 28 years old. Patrick Mahomes has the most accomplished career of any quarterback in his 20s in NFL history. That is not up for debate. He has done more in his 20s as a quarterback than anybody in the history of the league, and the dude's still got another couple of years left in his 20s.
Ronan, I think is the name on YouTube, says, stop wishing good things on a team with an embarrassment of riches. What is the embarrassment of riches that the Kansas City Chiefs have? They've got Chris Jones. They've got Patrick Mahomes. They've got Andy Reid.
Yeah, that's 3 Hall of Famers. I'd call that an embarrassment of riches. Make
Just
it 4 with Travis
3
Kelce.
Pieces.
Make it 5 with Steve Spagnuolo.
Spag's a Hall of Famer?
I mean, how many Super Bowl defenses do you have to coach up?
I don't know. His head coaching tenures were terrible. Terrible.
How many are in the Hall of Fame for their career as a coordinator?
I'm sure it's a consideration, but I would be surprised to see very many people with as bad a head coaching record as Steve Spagnuolo has. Like, I don't think that's any kind of lock. Now, a lot of those coordinators went on to become head coaches.
He was also a great player, wasn't he?
Spags?
Yeah.
Spagnuolo matters. There's no question. He has helped sustain this.
No, he didn't play in the league.
You're talking about all manner of different things that a team, the most, I'd say hockey's probably prone to the most randomness of any of the major sports. Football, because there's so many different moving pieces and parts, there's a lot of variance that can happen. But I don't know. Who's got a better roster right now? The Eagles or the Chiefs? It's the Eagles.
Eagles have an overall more talented roster.
The only place that I would take the Chiefs over the Eagles right now is probably the head coach.
And quarterback.
And the quarterback.
And defensive coordinator.
I don't think that.
You don't think that?
Vic Fangio is very, very good.
But you wouldn't rather have
all-time
Steve Spagnuolo?
Nickname matchup, by the way. Spags and Fangs.
Oh, yeah.
That.
No, for sure. That is a Hall of Fame nickname matchup.
So,
I mean, 2 of the best to do it in the NFL.
So what makes the Eagles have less an embarrassment of riches than the Chiefs?
They don't have a multitude of Hall of Famers. I think you're getting stuck on that phrase. I think his point was, stop wishing well on the Chiefs. They have enough, which I get. Again, like fans of teams do not look at this in the way that you, someone who covers the league and does not have an allegiance, looks at it. They just don't look at it the same way.
I know.
They can't wait for this era to be over. They cannot wait.
There's just going to be another one that comes along, though. Like this happens in the NFL far more often than we realize. There's just teams that go on runs like that. It's the Patriots. It's the Chiefs. It's the Cowboys had certainly a run back in the 90s. Like there are more runs in the NFL. Maybe not dynasty type 20-year runs, or winning across 20 years the way that the Patriots did, or maybe not the level of winning that the Chiefs have done in a short amount of time relative to NFL history. But, there's always one team that you have to get past. I guess you're just playing a game of, all right, will it be our turn next? Maybe, please God, let it be our turn next. And, it's really tough to do. Moving on. Titans are not competing for Super Bowls anytime soon, but this offseason has huge, massive implications for them at least getting back on the right track from being the worst team in football last year to being meaningfully competitive in 2025. What is the first thing that you want the Titans to accomplish under Mike Borgonzi on your Titans offseason checklist?
A quarterback plan.
A quarterback plan is critically important. A part of that quarterback plan, though, to me, I think, would be trading the number 1 overall pick and trying to regenerate this roster based on their stated plan, or at least their aspirations.
Well, it is
of 30 picks in the next 3 years. They've said 12 in the top 100 of those next 3 years would be nice. Speaking of which, this speaks to how bad it got for John Robinson at the end. John had 11 picks in the top one. It's really hard to have that many picks in the top 100 in the last 3 drafts, and he botched every one of them but McCreary.
It's a lofty goal. And obviously, to be on pace for that goal, Titans have 8 draft picks right now. You would have to trade out at number 1. But that's why I said quarterback plan, not necessarily quarterback at number 1. Now, if they are convicted on either one of these quarterbacks, and it doesn't have to be that either one of these quarterbacks can win them multiple Super Bowls. It is simply that either one of these quarterbacks
there's no way to project that,
can help them get back to a competitive place that can give them what Brian Callahan wants out of the quarterback position, then I'm all in for that. But if that plan means trading back, finding a stabilizing force in veteran free agency, still drafting a quarterback, whether it's on day 2 or whatever it might be, just a plan at the quarterback position to move forward here for me is, and I understand your point about team first, quarterback second, but that is priority number 1 for me, is the plan at quarterback.
The plan is reasonable, and there are options. They have a great many options. They can have a plan. They can have a plan B. They can have a plan C based on the leverage that number 1 overall pick and the amount of cap space that they have heading into free agency will grant them. Again, it's not the most cap space, but it's enough to work with. You're in a better spot than, teams obviously competing at the top of the sport that have already paid a quarterback. And at least with Will Levis, you're not going to have to shell out a $55 million a year contract for Will Levis at the end of, I guess he would be extension eligible at the end of this season, Will Levis. All that to say, my priority would be shop the pick. Shop the pick en route to helping you come up with a quarterback plan. See what the interest is in it. Even if you do have great love for Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, you may like both of them well enough to take both of them in the first round, potentially number 1 overall. We have no idea. It's January the 28th. Brian Callahan just started getting to know these guys, as he's talking about today with assembled Titans media at Senior Bowl. Shop the pick is the first plan, and that's an ongoing process, right? It'll last through all the All-Star games. It'll last through the Combine, through free agency, and the draft at the end of April. Then, to your point, the quarterback plan. But what does the quarterback plan absolutely have to involve, no matter what? The signing of a veteran quarterback. No matter if they decide to draft a quarterback number 1 overall, there is no reason, not one that I can come up with, that's a good one anyway, that the Titans would not sign a quarterback in free agency. Now, what that level of quarterback is a different conversation. Because what's the biggest domino in quarterback free agency this year? Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold dictates the top of the market, but beyond Sam Darnold, what's the rest of the top of the quarterback free agency market this year? It's not the 50, 55, $60 million in the case of Dak Prescott that you're talking about, but he is the first domino to fall that would allow everybody else to essentially set their quarterback board.
Jael on the F&M Bank chat says, what if there's no interest? I've seen this brought up a couple times.
In trading somebody trading up?
Out of number 1.
It would be tough for me to imagine that there's not one team.
Yeah. But
it's not impossible.
When people hear it's not a good quarterback class, it's not a good time to need a quarterback, I think people hear 2022. This is not 2022.
But it's closer to that than it is last year.
It is closer to that than it is last year. But last year was an extraordinary
just to remind
class.
People of what that quarterback class in 22 was, that was Pickett in the first round, only first-round pick among them. Ritter in the second or the third?
I thought he was the third.
He might have been the third.
And then Malik
was definitely a third-round pick.
Yeah. In fact, was Ritter drafted before Malik?
Ritter was drafted before Malik.
He was drafted about 12 picks before Malik.
Yeah, so only one first-round pick, and obviously he was borderline.
And it was late teens, low 20s to the Steelers?
Now, people are very quick to point out, well, Brock Purdy was a part of that draft. You can get him. You can get one with Mr. Irrelevant. All right.
7th rounder.
Let's not get crazy. There's Tom Brady and there's Brock Purdy.
Good luck with that strategy.
Day 3 picks that way that have worked out and at least been to multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah, that was one extreme, 2022. 2024 was also an extreme. How many of those quarterbacks started and played games and played well, played good football this season? Jaden Daniels.
Penix did play, 1.5.
Yeah, it was a much smaller sample size.
So there's 6 of them.
Yeah.
It's probably easier to list the ones that didn't play. Who didn't play? McCarthy didn't play.
And Penix didn't play for most of the season.
But is McCarthy the only one of the 6 that didn't play a snap this year?
Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, McCarthy didn't play.
JJ
Penix
McCarthy.
hardly played. Oh, who's the one quarterback we're missing? From the 2025
This is
draft.
going to drive me crazy. Either way. You're going to look it up?
Yeah.
Well, I'll take a phone call and you can look that up.
Bobby's
Bobby's
24 draft.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen, and Lucas. I, for one, do not want to see Mahomes win another one.
Oh, Drake
I
May.
think he's way overrated. And I'll hang up and let you guys talk.
That Mahomes is overrated? No. You will not find agreement here.
Goodbye, Bobby. Drake May, of course. Drake May was the one.
Yeah.
That we were
Patriots
missing.
quarterback, the third overall pick. So yeah, McCarthy the only one that didn't take a snap this year.
That's an extreme, right? That doesn't really happen.
Oh, no, it's happened twice, right? That tied the most quarterbacks taken in the first round, 6 quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the impact they had in their rookie year as well. That does not happen.
Sure.
To that volume. So that's an interesting question. Is this closer to 2024 or 2022? Yeah, the answer is 2022.
Definitely 2022.
That does not mean that it's to that level of 2022. Both Cam Ward and, I don't know, Shedeur Sanders, it's so many conflicting opinions on Shedeur Sanders, but Cam Ward is a far higher draft prospect than any of those guys were in 2022.
Yes, indisputably. I think Shedeur is a better prospect than any of those guys were in 22. I think Pickett had some good years, but it wasn't anything to the level of what Shedeur was doing.
There's enough QB needy teams, QB desperate teams in the NFL to fall in love with one or both of these guys at the top of the draft. I'm not necessarily concerned about the Titans' inability to trade back out of the number one pick.
Somebody's going to offer them something to come up, right? Like multiple teams will probably offer, this is just a hypothetical, multiple teams will probably offer them something to come up. The question is whether the offer that is on the table is worth the number one overall pick. The cost-benefit analysis of, okay, what am I getting in return? Is it sufficient? If yes, all right, trade. If no, then pick. That's kind of where it's at. Last call for phone calls, if you got them, 615-737-1045, the number, if you want to jump in. We will do that and talk a little bit about this Kentucky-Tennessee game coming up next. Okay. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Last call for phone calls. If you got them, we'll talk a little hoops. Here to wrap up the show, Vol Network coverage starts at 5:30 today. Tennessee is hosting Kentucky. Kentucky coming off, both teams coming off a loss. Tennessee to Auburn, Kentucky to Vanderbilt over the weekend. Derek is next.
Hey, Buck, I did want to start off with God. I used to hate you, dude. I mean, you probably could care less, but you have seriously grown on me. And the reason, I'll explain why, me being a fan since they've been here and attending games since 97, you doing your job and really picking the team and saying they weren't this, weren't that, as a fan, it's hard to hear. And I literally would listen in the mornings, turn you off, and then turn back on the afternoons. But once again, you could care less, but you've super grown on me.
It's like a little like a fungus. It's a little like a fungus there.
Kind of like, Dan, and you take a little. You've heard that before, I'm sure. You take a little bit to get used to, but like I said, it never was about you not doing your job. That's my team, and you were picking them apart. But anyways, I do like what you're saying with the quarterback situation, but I don't see why we would spend money on it whatsoever, even in free agency. You know, this kid may not be the answer, but I go way back where you gave him a couple years before you expected anything about him. I know you're getting ready to get into basketball. My other team, love Vanderbilt, been a fan of them since day one that I've been around. What do you think about them realistically with their wins and how far they may be able to go? Once again, dude, I listen to you all the time now. I always have loved Lucas. He's always been a guy that when he yelled at you, I enjoyed him yelling at you. But I really do appreciate you. Really do think you do a great job, bud.
Well, thank you for the call, Derek. We appreciate it. I told Jackson to very quickly fade up the music while he was saying nice things about Lucas.
Hey, Lucas, has he grown on you yet? Has Buck grown on you yet?
Yeah, like a tumor.
Say more, yeah, in the way a rash grows on someone.
You should probably get that looked at. You're spending too much time around Jerry Jones's glory hole, apparently.
Definitely got to stop itching it.
To his question about Vandy, yeah, I mean, Vandy's got some legit wins on their schedule this year. Not just because they beat Tennessee and because they beat Kentucky. Those are their two biggest wins, though, of the season so far for Vanderbilt. But, I mean, this could very easily be a tournament team. The problem for Vanderbilt is the conference that they play in. The SEC is nightmarish.
The battle for a top four seed in the SEC tournament.
It's going to be brutal.
Yeah, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Because you've got, Auburn undefeated right now at undefeated in the conference.
6-0 in the conference.
At 18-1. Bama 6-1 in the conference. Florida 5-2. Missouri 5-2. Tennessee 4-3. As is Mississippi State, Vandy, A&M, Ole Miss, and then you get to Kentucky, Texas, Oklahoma, and on down the line. South Carolina has not yet won a conference game. They are 0-7.
And Arkansas just has the one.
So, yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt winning at home in conference play, that's huge. Mark Byington, we talked to Slay about it. If you missed that interview earlier in the show, Derek, it was really good to hear the way that Slay kind of described the style of play that Mark Byington has brought to West End and that the transfer portal has allowed them to kind of, kickstart this program in a meaningful way. So it's really, really cool to see Vanderbilt fans have something other than just the baseball team to get behind athletically. They've got men's and women's basketball this year. How you feeling about your basketball team hosting Kentucky tonight?
Should be feeling good. I mean,
they're very, very hurt.
They're limping into this thing. It doesn't look like Andrew Carr is going to play. He's officially questionable. But even beyond that, Lamont Butler being out is a huge miss for Kentucky. And Kirk Creasel was a huge get for them in the portal out of Arizona. A guy who's played a lot of college ball. He can run the offense in Butler's stead. And he's out tonight.
Sounds like abuse.
So Tennessee's going to have the ability to put pressure on Kentucky's guards. They're super thin there. They're going to have the home crowd. They've been great at home all season. Both are not necessarily in desperation mode, but both coming off a
they could use
loss.
a win.
Yeah, no
they
doubt.
Could use a win.
The team that loses tonight officially is in a losing streak. So, yeah, I think you got to feel good about Tennessee being at home. They need to hold serve and take advantage of Kentucky being down multiple players.
Anything to see Kentucky lose makes me happy. I'm very upset that they're happy with Mark Pope, and I've got, a walking corpse of a human being wandering around Assembly Hall with his players having to remind him to go through the handshake line as a coach.
Yeah, that is just
a senile old man. Is that Slay?
Yes, that's Slay.
Is that Slay laughing at my basketball pain?
Can we hear the cat again?
The cat makes me sad.
My favorite.
It sounds like something bad is happening to that cat.
That's what's going to happen in Thompson Bowling Arena tonight.
That's fine.
I don't know why the cat's so funny to me.
Because it sounds scared. It sounds in harm's way. Danger at the hands of the volunteers and Smokey running after a cat. That's what I picture, is that cat is running away from something. Smokey chasing it, foaming at the mouth. Either way, critical win for either squad tonight. Advantage Tennessee at home. Advantage Tennessee health. You need to see Chaz Lanier continue to bring a level of consistency that's kind of dipped in the last month of college basketball. Started really, really well in the first 2 months. Since then, his shooting percentage has slumped. His three-point percentage has certainly slumped. And his scoring has taken a hit as well. But Slay kind of diagnosed that, I thought, really, really well. You can go back and listen to that interview from the first hour earlier today. Polls?
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What in sports made you say, oh no, this weekend? Cricket says the Cowboys and Jags bleep shows. Every submission right here is about Cowboys and Jags. Look, I will say, the Titans have been through their ride in the last 2 years, but they've got their head coach and general manager at Senior Bowl, at Shrine Bowl, getting ahead on draft prep, while Jerry Jones is pointing at his head coach yesterday, saying, this is as big a risk as I could take. I mean,
it's not, but he's not even pointing. It's like that sideways thumb, like the casual, just kind of this guy.
Never been a head coach.
You seen
not one time.
Guy?
Not
he's
one
never
time
even coached in the NFL before. He never had success whatsoever. This is a huge risk for me. Meet your new Dallas Cowboys head coach.
What am I doing?
This guy right here, this is a half-court shot right here. That's what this is.
The camera's panning to Dak during Jerry Jones's diatribe yesterday. Dak just sitting in the crowd laughing at Jerry. I don't know what Cowboys players think of this entire ordeal. They probably don't care as long as they keep getting paid.
Just a reminder, it can always feel worse. What is the biggest difference between the Chiefs and Patriots dynasty? Rube says Mahomes is more dynamic. Andy Reid is openly funny. Joshua just says their locations. Proven says Mahomes has a higher ceiling than Brady. John says that the Chiefs have not gotten caught cheating. Ricky says that the Chiefs are winning with defense. I think the Patriots did plenty of winning with defense.
They definitely did.
Over
Brady's
the years.
First three, for sure.
Yeah. Zach says the Chiefs and their fans play into the victim role, even though they win constantly, acting as if they have faced tons of adversity throughout this streak. The Patriots played into the villain role. They knew they were going to win and acted like it.
I think all those are true. I think that's a variety of different answers, and I think they're all factually accurate.
What do you think of Shedeur Sanders as a prospect? Troy says a great second-round pick. Karen asks, will his daddy be involved? He will be involved, but
what does
not
that
in the
have
way
anything
that
to do as a prospect.
Right. Like I feel like if your kid was about to be drafted number one overall, you'd want to kind of be kept in touch with how the process is going. And he's Deion.
Thing is just so overblown. People's resistance to anything Deion Sanders is so bizarre to me.
Yeah. Kevin says backup quarterback in the NFL before his rookie contract ends. Eric says, I like his accuracy, his anticipation, and his personality. Don't like his lack of size and any elite physical traits or how long he holds the ball.
I just don't like the fact that he can't really. I mean, he's not terribly mobile. Like, you have to have some degree of mobility at the NFL level to give your team the best chance to succeed. And Shedeur he's definitely a primary pocket passer.
What should be the Titans' number one priority this offseason? Jake says they got to get back to their roots. Chris Johnson, Derrick Henry, Eddie George, Earl Campbell.
Ashton Genty, number one overall.
Number one overall.
Yeah. Exotic smash mouth. Bring it home.
Sanders says find a quarterback. Karen says right tackle. Joshua says become competitive.
Yeah, all of those things. The general checklist is how to become competitive, and then how you go about becoming competitive is the checklist.
Steven says fix the O-line, then pass rusher, and then bridge quarterback.
Shop the pick.
Those are the polls. They're going to shop the pick.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they don't have to. People are calling them.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for us today. Lucas is still on, unfortunately for the rest of you, but you get Blaine Bishop to balance him out, so you can have a great time with that prime time. Well, it's Tuesday, so I'll catch you tomorrow.